Good morning, District 5190. I am so happy that all of you are giving us your Saturday morning. We are truly grateful, and our presenters have an amazing about information to share with you, and we hope that you go away feeling excited and invigorated for your Rotary, completing your Rotary year and starting a new year. Um, I'm Nora Stevens, your district trainer. I'm also area governor for Area 10. And I have the pleasure of introducing our district governor-elect, Dennis Geer. Take it away, Dennis.
Thank you, Nora. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our Club Success Summit. We're thrilled to have you, and thank you for devoting your valuable time to be with us today. We're doing things a little bit different with this summit. We're going to focus on 4 critical areas of importance to club success. First will come as no surprise, membership, attracting younger members and not so younger members. We'll talk about the foundation and why it's so central and important to maximizing good works in our communities. We will be talking about community projects that you guys might want to think about that's been done in the past. And finally, we'll close out with fun fundraising ideas. We all need better, we all need all the fundraising ideas we can get. And so I guarantee we're all going to learn something today. So without further ado, as they say, it is my pleasure to introduce Area Governor Shawna Gaines to kick it off. Take it away, Shawna.
Thank you so much, DGE Dennis. We are so happy to be here. To introduce myself, I'm not alone in my presentation today. I do have 2 cohorts with me, but I am Shawna Gaines. I wanted to go over all of my Rotary history as far as leadership roles that I have ever held or currently hold now. For my club of the Rotary Club of Reno Midtown, I have been past president, past membership chair, past secretary, past sergeant at arms. I am currently the Area 8 area governor, which is all of Reno and Sparks. I am currently the district newsletter editor, currently the district public image chair, and I'm also currently the district podcast host. Whew, my vocation is residential real estate, and I'm also an author. And I would like to also welcome Jessa Wagner and Tova McGilvray, who will also be introducing themselves before we get started.
Hi, my name's Jessa. I'm president-elect of Reno Midtown. I also am currently serving as secretary. I've been part of youth services in Rotary. I've also been a part of RILA since I started Rotary 12, 13 years ago. I've been like the head of the co-directors at RILA. I also am currently taking over Steve's position as registrar. So yeah, it's a little bit about me. Oh, my vocation, I am a mental health therapist for kids in our community, so I work a lot with youth.
And I am Tova McGilvray. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. For our Rotary Club of Reno Midtown, I am a past president. I also am the co-membership chair. I have been a public image chair for our club in the past. I've had the honor of serving as a RILA counselor. And this year particularly, though, I've taken a bit of a step back from Rotary to serve as the president of Temple Sinai Reno. And my vocation is that I am an escrow officer. So thank you guys so much for the time today.
And what our segment about, I know our overarching topic is attracting younger members, but truly that is a much bigger picture than the title might allude to. So we are going to cover all kinds of things. This isn't about attracting only 21-year-olds to your club. It's just a lot of things to think about as Rotary does grow and change over time to make sure that all of our clubs are vibrant and healthy and have a lot of longevity. So to get us started, I'm going to say, hey, Ray, hit it for the next slide, and Jess is going to take it away.
All right. So our presentation is going to be a lot more discussion rather than me just telling you information. So we have lots of questions, but first thing I want to ask is like, what do you think a younger member club is? So anybody can speak up, raise your hand. Questions in the chat.
You can raise your hand bar or put a question in the chat for them and we will unmute you if you raise your hand bar.
The club that's younger than my club, LOL. Thanks, Mindy.
For context, Mindy is in our club too.
Younger members are somebody that are younger in age and that will be engaged and participate actively in efforts of Rotary, whether it's community or international.
Beautiful.
We have Sam Steele with his hand up.
Go
Well,
ahead.
we have a club that's been almost 100 years next 2 years from now. And it has a huge amount of history, obviously. And when I look back at reading their back programs, most of the successful people that were in the club were between 40 and 60 years old. That's when they did most of their work. You know, certainly they had people that were under that. And most clubs, and I think should have people that are 60 and over. But that performance group, the group that seems to get things done, are sort of like their kids are teenagers and they're successful in their work, and now they have time to really generate a lot of juice in their Rotary because they have a lot of experience and contacts. So a younger club to me is people that are between 40 and 60. That's who I'd like to see.
Shout out to Barb Wilkinson. She said in the chat, younger members can bring fresh perspectives and energy to tackle events, committees, etc. Great perspective, Barb.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you everyone for your contributions.
Yeah, so part of like having this question of like what does younger members mean, because it means something different to each set of people, because now like Reno Midtown is not the youngest club anymore, and so it's really like what does it mean, and what do you want to have like be your younger member club? It's like why is that important?
Please raise your hand or add to chat. Well, either they haven't had enough coffee or they're really shy, ladies.
That's fine.
Jessica, can I
Go ahead.
oh, Mindy, you're so cute. Youth are the future. So says Whitney Houston. I would say too, just to help facilitate other folks being brave to raise their hand as well, is that for context, I was 27 when our club chartered, and I am now 41. And so just to the comment that was made earlier, I am now in that 40 age range of the people who get things done, right? But I know that we've accomplished a lot, even when a lot of us were in our late 20s and 30s back then. So even the makeup of our club have shifted where I am now one of the elder statesmen of my own club. And we're welcoming in folks that are in their mid to late 20s, which is a really interesting thing to see. And even within that little age gap, all the new ideas or access to technology has been an education for me. So I think affecting how we view things alone, just bringing in people where I'm like, what is that? What's a fit? Like, oh, just call it an outfit. Like, what are you saying? But it's such a beautiful breath of fresh air.
Right. And kind of with our members, and like people have said like the youth are our future, like I'm reading the chat as we're going. How does that change, or what does it mean to be a Rotarian? How would you look at it from like the perspective of like your perspective as well as younger members?
We'd love shout outs from you guys on what it does it mean to you to be a Rotarian.
Right. I like great willingness to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
We have Tova with her hand up, and then next up is Sam Steele.
Thanks. I know I'm a presenter, but I helped write this question because I had an answer to it. So my Rotary trajectory is very much like Shauna's. She got me involved in the club in my mid-20s. You know, basically I started hanging around the club about a year after they chartered, which I think we're approaching 15 years coming up. And now I am 41. So, you know, it's like I have almost 15 years of Rotary under my belt, but I'm only just now entering a phase of my life where I actually have, shall we say, some check writing power that most Rotarians are known for. So my experience of Rotary and my relationship to what Rotary means has really evolved over the years, where it used to be almost purely service in a hands-on sort of way. And now I have a bit more financial stability to support the clubs and particularly the foundation in some more sustainable, dollar-based ways. So that's one example for me personally about how, what does it mean to be a Rotarian has really shifted over the years.
Yeah. I see somebody like to give back to the community as part of being a Rotarian. Mhm.
Sam Steele, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Again, I joined Rotary when I was 28. I'm 73.
Mm.
And when I joined Rotary, it was, for the connection for my business. I owned a ski shop and I wanted to connect with these guys. And most of them were at least 5 to 10 years older than I was at that time. But it was great because I took them skiing all the time. They helped my business. I'm 73. I don't need anything in my resume, but I do want to and give back to a community. And I've moved here 5 years ago. I lived in Livermore for 45, I don't know, so many years I can't remember. So Rotary has a different concept to me here than it did in Livermore. I'm more of a trying to build this club into an active club. Since COVID, it's gotten real quiet, and our growth is dropping off the record books. It's done, we have no growth, no new members. And so I'm really concerned that on our 100th year anniversary, we're going to write a check to Rotary International and close the doors. And I don't want to see that happen. So I'm going to try to make a difference. Which was my my year I was president down in Livermore. That's what my international theme was. Rotary makes a difference.
It sure does.
You have a couple things in chat. President-elect Dave Olson says, doing service is so rewarding and I like how it rubs off on others in the community. And then, of course, we have Mindy with another wonderful thought. I think being part of the Rotary family involves our Rylas and Regal Rotarians. At least that's how it's fallen out for me. And then we have Robin Milan with her hand up.
I was just going to say, I'm in other nonprofits that I'm involved with, we've got a lot of young people in their 20s and 30s who are in leadership positions. And just the diversity of ages in the organization really makes for the level of impact, the level of engagement. It just means so much more to me. And we're starting to bring in some younger members in their 30s and 40s in our club, and it's I'm just really excited about it. And one of the things I am looking forward to and listening for with you is how we engage younger members in a more traditional club in a way that really, that the younger members feel really key leaders of the club.
Nice. Well, and that kind of rolls into like the next question on the slide about like, what are your club's cultures and values and how does that play with newer or younger members?
Perhaps Jessa, would you share a little bit about it? I feel like our Midtown Club has a really particular skew, or not skew, but an insight onto what our culture and values are that may be very distinct from another club. Would you perhaps speak to our club a little bit? And just in case anybody didn't know, we are essentially considered a young professionals club. I think our median age is in the mid or late 30s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like our club's culture is very like everything we do, we think like, how can we make sure that the most members can attend this? we are currently shopping for a new meeting location, and the biggest thing on our mind is how is this going to affect our members? How can we make sure our members can get to this location? So that's a really big thing for us, and making sure that everybody's included. We value our family, our people with families. Shauna and Mindy, they bring their kids all the time to our events. So those are a couple of our club's culture and value things. So how about your guys's?
Again, you have a bunch of shy people. Oh, there goes President-elect Paula.
I would say our club's culture is we like to have a lot of fun, but we really like to get things done. I love going back to the other question about being a Rotarian. I joined when I was 41. I'm now 65. And I finally have a chance, because we have family, we've got a business of our own. I also work full-time. I was able to help on everything, but I wasn't able to really lead. And I did do the Regal, I'm co-chair of the Regal district, but it just is a time in my life where I can now help the younger members, be engaged with them. They can tell me their ideas, their values, how we're all going to come together and work together. And this past year really brought, with our community projects all through our club, working together, having similar values really makes a difference. So I love our club.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Shout out Rotary Club of Sparks. Woo woo.
Okay, and Mindy popped in with my 11-year-old has attended dozens of Rotary meetings. He loves Rotary and doing service projects. He's even in a picture on our website. I would say that we took the Grow Rotary focus to heart. We think about membership, brand, foundation for each event. Wonderful.
Reading Rotarians, in case that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
District Governor-elect Dennis has his hand up. They're waking up now.
Okay, I gotta unmute. Yeah, I'm in Robin Milam and I are in the same club. It's Nevada City. And our culture is, first of all, we're an incredibly welcoming club. We're about 35 members now. And anybody that hasn't visited the club walks in the door, they're greeted by just about everybody in the club. So that's one thing. But the other thing that we've done the past few years is we established one of the first environmental chairs in the district, I think, in our club. And one of our big projects has been recycling plastic film, which they actually use to make Trex boards, unbelievably. And I'm thrilled to say that Chris Newsom, our environmental chair, has agreed to become the environmental chair for the district. So, and I think that the environment is something that's critically important to all of us, but especially to younger folks. So we'll be working on that. You'll be hearing more about that. So thank you.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip to the last question on this slide. What's your online presence look like, and how do you use social media technology? How do you get your club out there? What do you guys do?
All right, my friends, raise those hands.
And of
I
course,
know a lot of you do a lot of social media stuff.
and not only that, as far as marketing your club, but communicating with each other effectively. and efficiently.
Yeah, and past district governor and our district foundation chair, Roberta Pickett, says her club is not doing enough. So that's a good one. President-elect William, there you are.
Good morning, William Chaddock from the Rotary Club of Fernley. And what our social media chair just did is, as a side project for her vocation, is she finally, after our community's been asking for it for I don't know, a decade or two, we now have a community calendar that just came online last month, where she's going to be organizing all the nonprofits and all the churches and all the different groups in town on a website so that there can be shared calendars ranked by types of activities. And with that, obviously, there are going to be banner ads and things that Rotary is going to be a big part of. And so she is going to be hopefully making a little money for herself and helping all the other organizations, but doing it from a Rotary Central position. And so I think that's really going to help get us out there.
All right, so we have a lot of things coming in chat. Thank you, William, so very much.
Can Robin speak more to her question about where I think it was something like speak to where they should be focusing? And Robin, do you mean specifically in your social media campaigns or as an awareness of your club or communication?
It's actually what social media should be using. I at one point was a big Facebook and as a web developer, I've had a lot of clients, including myself, have been burned on Facebook, and I'm hearing that young people are moving away from it. And so what do you recommend? And what we did, I happen to be secretary and I do our newsletter, so I try to include it be a communication forum so people can refer to it, but that's just within the club. And it's people don't, they may or may not read what comes in as an email. So I would really love to hear your perspective and recommendations on what works.
Yeah. Facebook, to be frank, Facebook is like the older people social media now. And Instagram is still pretty popular, even though it is a Facebook product, and you can connect Instagram and Facebook so they post together, so you don't have to do less work. So that's a nice benefit of that one. Snapchat and TikTok are very big. Discord is kind of there. YouTube's actually pretty big too. So those are the kind of ones you want to do. Twitter is, or X. Twitter is kind of back and forth. There's a lot of political stuff around Twitter right now for our young people, so use that one with caution. So those are kind of my recommendations on it.
And I'd say too, it goes back to the fourth bullet point of what are your club's cultures and what is your club's culture and values? Because yes, we have the smorgasbord of social media available, but to Sam's earlier thing about, in his opinion, the vibrant part of his club of an age range that gets stuff done are people between the ages of 40 and 60. Well, what social media speaks to that group? It's probably Facebook, and that's totally okay. And again, as Jessa had said, Instagram and Facebook are linked, so you can post one thing on Instagram and bam, it's on Facebook, and it was just one step. So you can attract those who might only have an Instagram account, but for the main vein of members that you want to communicate with and attract, speaking to them on Facebook is completely okay. So I think it really comes back to what is the point? Like when the question is what works, well, to what end? Is it as a communication piece, letting people know about your events, just letting people know you're around? I'd say every single social media platform has some modicum of value because it's letting the public know that you are active and around and up to things. Think of it no more than just a great way. Do you remember in the olden days when we didn't have photos on our phones, and if you wanted to show pictures of your kids or your grandkids, you had to pull out your wallet, and like the waterfall of the little sleeves with all the pictures would come out, and you could show people everything you were proud of? Well, in my opinion, social media is that thing now, but in a very digital format. So it's a great way to just toot your own horn about all the awesomeness that your club is up to and really get clear on what you want to use social media for. And it's really okay to let some of them go. So if you're being intentional and focused about it, use a scalpel, not a hammer, So those are conversations, of course, we can have offline. That'll take a lot more time, but just know that it's okay to not do everything and to get really clear on who your audience is and why you're using it.
So, and to that point, I want to chime in a little bit on social media. There is, I think, a bit of this misconception that the way to reach younger members is social media. And while social media is a very important communication tool, I really want to dispel the myth that your key to unlocking younger membership is by engaging in social media. Younger members, very specifically, I think our age cohort gets so much digital input pushed to us at all times that the value of building relationships, the value of personal invitations, the value of face-to-face connection is even more important. And perhaps if you have a club that's, enjoying the convenience of Zoom so much that you are declining to meet in person when that's an option, you might be missing out on younger members by focusing on too much on digital platforms. It's also going to be nearly impossible to keep up with whatever the latest jetpack social media trend service is going to be. So I think if you can just be aware of where the platforms communicate to each other, so you can try to hit as many as possible. One thing I would recommend for every club is some sort of messaging app, whether that's GroupMe, WhatsApp, Discord, something where you can maintain text threads with people at all time in real time. I actually would love to see our club. We tend to use GroupMe. I would love to see us transition to Discord because I think it holds different threads of conversation with better organization. But even within our club, our youngest members, if I can say that, our 23, 24-year-olds are saying, man, we should really move to Discord. And our millennials in our early 40s are like, oh, I couldn't possibly learn another social media tool. So that bias, that resistance to downloading or learning a new piece of technology even exists for a younger club. It can be really daunting, and the user interface, the UI of some new apps are really not as intuitive as they think that they are. You're like, why is there no menu? Why is there no explanation for how this thing works? So I get the resistance. But what's important about social media is that it shares the information that the club is doing, not that you are doing your club activities on social media. So it's really just a communication tool. And as long as you use one or more than one and keep them updated consistently so that people can go there. Sorry, I didn't want this to turn into a social media thing, but if you're going to use it, it's worth putting in the investment to use it correctly. So your flyer should never just be a static image of a flyer. It should be, if your flyer should be an active link that goes to the sign-up sheet. It's really that if we're going to be using social media, the idea is that any given platform can hold all the information or link to the information in one place, rather than having to tell your members, oh, we have to go here for the newsletter, but here for the sign-up link and here for the pictures of the event. So try to cross-reference where you can, but personal invitation and personal connection is still the absolute.
Mm. And as we wrap up this, I saw out of the corner of my eye, Lindy Beatty had a great member attraction suggestion that when you do host and sponsor RILA and Regal and RIE students, making sure that their parents are very much included, not just in the one day that student spoke to your club, but also make sure that they're included on your newsletter, that you invite them to events. Lindy, that's a great thing to point out. That's a great way to attract a new member to your club that's probably in that age range that you're going for. Okay.
Okay, we have one more hand up, and then I kind of sort of have a question that kind of happened in chat, is about QR codes. So after we ask Tom for his question, I would like to know more about QR codes.
Okay.
Thank you. I am new to Nevada. I've never been in a club like this. I've just been in Sunrise Centennial for the last 3 months, and just listening to people talk about social media, I hear people say, to get this information out so people can see it. Well, I guess I would say, who are people? I mean, we have at least six clubs just in the Reno area. Personally, I have trouble just keeping up with the things that are on our own website for Sunrise Centennial, let alone anybody else's. And I guess I would question how many non-Rotarians even know about the fact that there are Rotary websites out there, there are Rotary social media doing good things for the community. And I guess I agree with the person who talked about personal connections and invitations, because I just don't think the general public out there even knows what Rotary is doing, and or is willing to go on and look it up. So I think there's a big disconnect with social media. I think we look at it in our own club within ourselves, but how do we get out past? We've only got 34 members or so. How do we get anything out further than that 34 members out into the community of what Rotary is doing?
Yeah, Tom, you're so right. There are
Yeah.
9 clubs in the Reno-Sparks area alone, and you are so right. So in all public image sessions, and Tova just put a great comment up there that all social media is both overrated and essential at the same time, and that couldn't be more true. And this is always the thing, that Rotary is the best kept secret in the world, because we are not doing a stellar job of letting the general public know what we're up to. I think one of the things that is perhaps old school, but really could use a big push between all of our clubs individually, are old school press releases that go out to newspapers, which also end up on their websites. I think there are lots of other ways that we can do things. This is, I mean, we're sort of like sliding into a big PI segment, which wasn't the intention of this, but it also speaks to why it's so important to have brand compliant gear and clothing and signs and banners. So when you're out there doing good things, people have that brand recognition of like, oh, I've seen that thing before. I've seen that gear before. Like, what is that? And to your question, Stacey, about QR codes, if there's a QR code on, you know, this bench was donated by, you know, and you can have a QR code in perpetuity on this thing, they can scan it. I mean, everyone can Google from their phones. If they're like, what the heck is the Rotary Club of Reno Centennial Sunrise? I can Google that and bam, I have your website and I have all your information. So I think it's a multifaceted approach. There are a lot of tentacles to that octopus. And Tom, you're really right. You need to be intentional and aware of who are people, to whom are we speaking? Like, why am I worrying about social media, my website, when I don't even follow anyone else in my area? That's totally normal. And that's absolutely okay. But again, it's not a silver bullet. There isn't one answer, but these are the kinds of things, like when you do visioning with your club, it's kind of a similar, but less time consuming process, right? If you're just talking about the PI aspect, to really get clear on who is your audience, how do you reach them, and what is the point of that communication, then you're going to dial in a plan that makes way more sense for your club, and you won't feel like you're just shouting into the void and getting nothing in return.
Well, and one of the points that you made, Tom, is like, hey, I check out social media for my club. Like, how are we getting it to the community? One of the things that social media can do and should do, if we're getting the Rotary message out there, is like, say you meet at Fox Brewery, when you have your meeting, it's like, hey, had this meeting, and then you tag or like you connect Fox Brewery, and so that like people who are following that establishment can see that your club was there. And then that's one of those ways to like get Rotary out there connected to a different business or community thing.
Kind of like a digital version of the big banner where it says Rotary meets here, you know, or the sign on the wall, Rotary meets here every Wednesday at noon. It's the digital version of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we ready for the next slide, Jessa?
Yeah.
All right, hit it, Ray.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So talking all about like younger members, and then how do we engage them, right? So the sharing the load, getting the established members and the new members doing something together. One of the things when I was at Pets was like, give the new members a job, like get them connected, have like the co-chairs, the mentors, things like that. Just like Tova shared, she's co-member, and one of our newer members is going to be joining her in the membership chair. And so Tova's going to share all of her knowledge about membership to this new person, so that like the institutional knowledge can be shared and passed along. And so it's always asked like, hey, what did you join Rotary for? How do you want to help out the club, right? And one of the things that I always caution is like, hey, you have this person who joined your club that's in like tech and they can build websites. Don't immediately put them as like your website chair, right? Ask them like, hey, what do you want to do with this? And maybe can you help out or use some of their knowledge, but don't assume that like, hey, this is their vocation, so I'm going to put them in this club service spot. Right. And then, so that's kind of like the sharing the Rotary knowledge and getting club members engaged. And then the flexibility, it's like being open to change. Part of this is like figuring out what works, what doesn't work for your club. So what are some things that your club does that you're like, oh, that's kind of tired. Maybe we need to talk about removing that from our agenda. What do you think? What are some of those things?
All right, I think they need more coffee.
Actually, we're running a little low on time, so I think, Jessa, if you don't mind my saying so, I'm going to encourage kind of continuing through this slide. I think this is one of the most important slides in our deck, and that we'll revisit perhaps a bit more conversation in the questions section near to the end.
Cool. Yeah. So just some of those things like the pledge, the thought of the day, things like that is like, is that still helpful for your club or does it need to change? Also being adaptable. What's your due structure look like? When I at Pets, they were talking about how RI dues are 86 something. I don't remember the exact number, but 86 something for every single Rotarian in the entire world. And while that works for us, like sometimes it doesn't work for other people. And so thinking about that club level is like, hey, can your average member afford the $200-300 a year for dues? So maybe having tiered memberships, fines, tickets, things like that. It's like, does that work for everybody? I was blindsided by a club that I visited and like everybody had to share for Happy Bucks. I don't carry cash with me ever. And so that was like, I'm like, oh, wait, what's happening right now? So thinking about those things with all your members in mind. The day and the time of the meeting, part of what makes Reno Midtown work for us as younger professionals is that we generally work a 9-to-5 job, if not during those hours. It's like sometimes a middle of the day meeting doesn't work for us, but does it work for your club and who you're trying to attract to your club?
And our meetings are 1 hour. It's not an hour and a half.
Yes.
If you're there longer, that's totally a personal choice, but the meeting itself starts promptly at 6, ends promptly at 7. That's another thing to consider. Sometimes people would love to join your noon meeting, but it's like, if it was noon to 1, they could do it. But if it's noon to 1:30, that just suddenly becomes unworkable. So those are small things to consider.
Yeah, and to Shauna's point with that, like on the district website, like your meeting time, like what's the start time of your meeting? Is the start time like the time and come get food time, or is that the time that your meeting actually starts and the bell's rung, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can a tiered membership look like? I don't think our club's done a tiered membership. Sorry, I'm reading a question in the chat. But tiered membership could be like, hey, some people can, if you can afford the $300 a year, like doing that. And then in the $300 a year, maybe there's a $50 excess to cover like the people who could only maybe afford $200 a year. So that would be kind of the tiered membership, how it would look. And you could structure it any way you want in your club. It's kind of similar to a sliding fee scale. That would be what it looked like in the business world.
We have a hand up really quick. Tom.
Yes, the tiered membership kind of intrigues me a little bit, and especially when we're talking about attracting younger members. My wife and I were both in public school elementary education our entire career. And back in our 20s, I can remember actually getting the checking account down to under $100, raising kids, all the things we had to do. And I think there's more to Rotary than simply collecting the dues and the money, and possibly in some way having a tiered membership to where the younger people who are not that well established into their careers yet can come in with a lower dues structure than those of us at retirement age and beyond, who are pretty well set. And so I think that there's ways that for some younger members, even $200 or $300 a year just isn't going to make it.
Well, and I think when we talk about tiered membership too, that's just an umbrella term to cover a lot of different solutions. So it could just be that anybody who desires to join your club could ping the, treasurer and president and perhaps have a private conversation about what is an alternative to paying full dues. If they are somebody who says, I can't, that dues structure is just not going to work for me and my family, but I have this skill set. Or maybe it doesn't even have to be a bartered thing. Perhaps you just make some financial considerations for people and they have an agreement, a one-on-one agreement with the club to pay at a slightly lower rate. I think the idea is that if they're going to be an active member of their club, their value is so much more to their club than just whether or not they're paying the full dues. And we just encourage, openness to those sorts of solutions. So there's a lot to unpack in here. Any one of these questions could be its own full breakout session. So we are just planting seeds here of different types of things that our club has done in attracting younger members. We like to call it kind of affectionately a la carte membership. So people pay their dues. Perhaps there are some people in our club who may be getting a little bit of a financial break for the pleasure of being part of our club. I'm not particularly privy to that, but it wouldn't bother me. I don't consider that a barrier. But we also, don't force makeup meetings on people. We don't charge fines for being late. We don't do demotion or
yeah, we do.
well, we do demotions, but I'm trying to think of what it's called. We do the shame list when someone hasn't paid their dues. That's something we do. With love. But we have plenty of people who are valuable contributing members to our club who we haven't seen at a regular meeting in like 2 years, 3 years. But when we need, something for a special event, they are right there. We don't consider them a lesser member of our club and we don't penalize them because they have, infant children or some other consideration that prevents them from attending regular meetings. They keep an eye they read our newsletter, they keep an eye on our text thread, they know what's going on in the club and they a la carte choose to participate. And that's worked out really well for us. So I think in particular, some things like makeup meetings and fines, I would ask any club to consider how much is this really serving you. For time unless people wants to stay on that slide, we're going to kind of need to jump ahead too.
Yeah, we're going to skip ahead 2 slides. The slide after this is basically just a conversation about being really responsible for how young people occur to you, meaning if they occur to you as like these...
Well, actually, just pause on that slide really quickly so people can speed read it while Shauna's explaining.
Sorry,
we won't linger on it.
Okay. It's more about stuff that we ourselves experienced when our club was newly chartered, which was really unfortunate. But I also get that unless we have a conversation about it, people won't be aware of like, oh my God, like I used to be in that headspace of if you have a negative impression of younger generations for whatever reason, just know that if that's in there, you can think your club is like, to be frank, you can think your club is as welcoming as a ray of sunshine, and it isn't, because they're going to feel that coming from you, or comments are going to spill out of someone's mouth that it's like, why am I here if you think that I'm incapable? Like, yeah, maybe I'm not very financially secure yet because I just started my career, but it doesn't mean that I don't have a lot to offer or that I'm smart or I'm driven or whatever. So that's just a really brief, put a pin in that and just take a look that if you don't see younger people as a contribution, that's just something to consider. And again, if that's the overarching thought process within your club, again, maybe 20 somethings aren't for your club, and that's totally okay. So just be really clear about that for yourself, so that way you can take good steps going forward when you're speaking and interacting with younger people. Okay, go ahead and slide and take it away, Tova.
Yeah, and Robin, I saw in the comments said, be careful talking about how old we are. Like it's
Amen.
exactly,
Yeah,
we're all
100%.
human beings, and
Yes.
there's nothing about younger members that means that they have a thicker skin around ageism than a more experienced member of Rotary. So that's something to be mindful about when we're talking about Rotarians or human beings of all ages.
Yeah.
So
good point, Robin. Thank you.
My slide is kind of introducing the question, something I've seen about younger members, or even I would say just straight up newer members altogether, but certainly younger members, is that there's this desire to attract them, but not really a desire to include them. And so this slide is just meant to ask the question of, are you trying to attract younger members, but then, let them bake in an oven for a little bit until you're ready to put them into service? And I encourage you to challenge that mindset a little bit. One of the things in our introduction was we decided to share our vocation a little bit. And a lot of your younger members, even if they are seemingly in their 20s, are like adulting. Like they're out there doing that. They can handle whatever your club needs them to do. And maybe they don't have the institutional knowledge, but that'll come. And that's also one of the fresh perspectives. They might not need to know how you guys have handled the registration for the crab feed or the Mardi Gras parties. I'm not picking on those events specifically. I'm just shouting out Rotary things. Like maybe registration's been handled a certain way and, oh, this person doesn't know how we did it. That could be a real blessing if they come in with a different perspective on a system that's going to work a lot better. And as you get younger members, they might come in with suggestions. Maybe that suggestion is around social media or communication. I really encourage an open mind. And before any club or board shuts it down saying, oh, we'll never be able to get our members to sign up for that. We'll never be able to get people to learn a new piece of technology. At least take the time to perhaps be shown a tour of what, Discord is or WhatsApp. And you might discover like, oh, wow, this is so much more convenient than the thousands of emails that we all miss every single day. So, even ideas that sound scary and sound like they have a front-loaded work effort, please don't shut them down right away. At least try to take the tour. And, my last one in this one was the idea that if you can't attend regular meetings, that you can't participate in Rotary. As I said at the beginning, I'm serving as the president of a very large organization right now, which is a really interesting change in my chapter of my life. And we also changed the meeting day of our regular club from Monday to Tuesday as a consideration to a location we were using. My ability to attend regular meetings has completely dropped off this year. I have been quite MIA. And I'm so grateful to be part of a club that isn't penalizing me for that, that's not shaming me for that, and that appreciates when I can't show up in person. I'm sorry?
We just miss you.
I just miss you too. But if my physical presence at the regular weekly meetings was a prerequisite to being able to be a Midtown Rotarian, I wouldn't be a Midtown Rotarian. And I think that's true for a lot of our members. And we give people many different ways to participate.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, sorry, I just caught a really quick, sorry that the chat's going very fast and I can't keep up on all of it, but that's not what it's for. It's more of like a live stream. But I did see one question, what's an ideal meeting time? I'm going to say, if you're trying to attract younger members who might still be employees, they might not yet own their own business or be retired, a 2-hour lunch meeting.
Up in management to say, I'm taking a 2-hour lunch.
I'm taking a 2-hour lunch. Yeah. A 2-hour lunch is a really big ask for somebody who's still in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And many of you are still in the workforce. So I think you can understand if you've managed to prioritize a lunch club and can attend that way, that's really excellent. If that is your club structure, be be vigilant, be brutal about your start times and end times. So somebody can attend for like the meeting starts on time, the meeting ends on time, and they can fit that into their schedule consistently. I see Mark vigorously shaking his head. Like, I don't want to hear that, well, we're just going to wait 5 more minutes for more people to join. Sorry, dude, that's called accountability. Like, we said the meeting was going to start at noon. It is starting at noon. We need to respect the time of the people who showed up. We do that without any apology at our club, and the people who are chronically late are chronically late, and that's just a cute little facet of their personality and lives that we accept and don't shame them about. We don't start from the top and recap materials just because somebody joined 5 or 10 minutes late. Like, that was a choice that they made, and those are called consequences. But it also really respects the time of the people who did show up on time. So I encourage you guys to just give that a try of like really strong meeting start and end time integrity. If you're trying to attract younger members, the ability, it doesn't mean a lunch club is impossible, but they need the reliability of being able to fit it into their schedule. We're going to keep powering through, Tom. We see you, and then we'll come back to you in just a minute. Shauna, do you want to take us home?
Sure. Let's go ahead. All right, so this is it. So of course, growing membership is important to all of us. And I really wanted to repeat that it is so important to do it intentionally and thoughtfully. This is not a scattergun situation, because I think it will be to the detriment of everyone's club if it's not done with some sort of plan or care. And I think it's something where you see a contribution need, it's about, as my dad would say, finding a butt for that seat, that there's the quality over the quantity, that when you come across a human being, whoever they are and whatever age, stage, or phase that they're in, that when you see, oh my gosh, they'd be an amazing asset to this club, that's the person that you're going to go ask. And it's okay. I know we set goals at the beginning of every year, and there are fun acknowledgement and prizes for that at the end of the year. But truly, if by growing by one quality member would make the difference for your club, that's okay. Because it's better than attracting, oh my God, we brought in 10 new members, but then they all left, or the established members left because all the culture just went to poo. Like, that's also not worth it. And that's a waste of your time and efforts. So I think taking it slowly, attracting that quality over the quantity, getting really clear with your club, not just the board, but with your club. Who are we? I've been to every single club in the Reno Sparks area, and they all love each other so much. And it's really beautiful and moving. You want more of that. You want more the merrier, not just bringing in someone who can fog a glass, right? And that all members truly do want to be valued for their unique talents. People join for a reason. Be clear about what that is for yourself and for them. And as soon as somebody joins, find a way to either, if you are really in need of like a chairperson, see if that's something they're interested in, or to the prior suggestion, pair that established person who's been in a role for a very long time and has a lot of very valuable knowledge, but may not want to do that, forever. Pair them with that newer member where they can learn from them, have a mentor, really get involved in Rotary in a very meaningful and helpful way. I think mentors are incredible. And there are a lot of people in the Zoom room right now that I have had lunch with, coffee with, phone conversations with, car rides with, sharing and asking questions and learning a ton. So the more we can do that within our clubs, the more effective and efficient it is for everybody. So if you have questions, let us know. We're not perfect at it. We don't have the magic sauce per se. We just have the perspective we have, and we hope it's valuable for you. And anything questions that we have, I think we have literally 3 minutes for other questions if we want to tackle those now before I can introduce our next segment. And thank you so much for listening and engaging with us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
So I had put in the chat if you would like a copy of this slide deck to kind of go over it with your club, because it's very, very good, then go ahead and email District Governor-elect Dennis Geer. I put his email in there, and we will get you this slide deck.
The slide deck asks more questions than it gives answers, but I hope one of Shauna's points is that these are good questions to get intentional about for your club. And sometimes attracting 20 somethings is not the type of member that's going to be a good fit for the club that your established members enjoy. And that's okay, but get clear on that.
Right. And kind of the whole thing is like, it's a discussion. It's like, how is this going to fit your club and what you guys want to see your club become. And so that's why it's like, we don't tell you, hey, this is how you do it. It's like, these are some questions to think about.
Okay, and then Tom, did you want to come back with your question? You had your hand up for a little bit.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't a question. I was just gonna mention when we're talking about club meeting times, one of the things that attracted me to Sunrise Centennial was the 7 a.m. breakfast meeting. And intentionally, I believe that club was put together at that time so that people could come first thing in the morning and still make it to work on time. So
Mhm.
I think a variety of meeting times between the clubs is probably pretty important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Variety is the spice of life.
And then one final question before we wrap up with you, beautiful, beautiful ladies, is are you ever willing to do this presentation at a club meeting via Zoom or what have you?
Sure.
Depending on the time, yeah.
Right.
That's Hova, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Within reason, certainly.
Amazing.
Absolutely. And also too, I'm kind of seeing that there could be a value for us to condense the major bullet points of this into like a 1-page, FAQ white paper kind of deal, where you could have a little worksheet of these prompts and you guys and each club could, take that on their own little thought journey. So that's something we might be able to distill into digestible bullets.
Well, thank you very much. And Shauna, you're up for the next.
Okay, so thank you, everyone. We are so grateful to be able to transition over to Mark Schaus and Randy House, and that rhymes, and it makes me happy, for our next segment titled, What About the Rest of Us? So take it away, Mark and Randy.
Hi there, everybody. Yeah, Schaus House. When I was in real estate, I used that kind of a term for my work there. I'm your membership chair-elect. This topic, I love the topic name. What about the rest of us? Shauna, Jessa, and Toby, you talked about attracting younger members. What we're going to talk about is the rest of us older members. And my journey in Rotary started when I was 40. I was invited by my father-in-law to join the club, the Rotary Club of Incline Village, which I later became president of. Then I was also lucky to have chartered 2 new clubs, Reno Centennial Sunset, which I also became president of, and recently the newest club here in our district, the Rotary Club of International Exchange, where we have a real mix of members. I really raised the average age quite a bit. I've been a Rotarian for 25 years. You can know how old I am now. And it's kind of ironic when we look at this, we want to recruit younger members, there's no question. But we can't forget to recruit members who are older. And I find this kind of ironic because if you look at what Rotary is thought of in the community as just a bunch of old white guys who meet, at lunchtime. And now we're trying to really transition to a newer, younger membership, but we really can't forget those of us who are, the next members. So Randy, you might want to say a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you, Mark. My name is Randy House. I'm the current area governor 3, past president of the Rotary Club of Truckee, have served on the district foundation chair committee for the last 3 years as the Triple Crown chair. And it's a pleasure to talk about this topic.
Yeah, so we'll go on to the next one with, I was with my family, we were at a TEDx talk here in Reno last Saturday. One of the first speakers, her name was Tracy Gendron. She talked about ageism. And basically ageism is when we start looking at people who are older and start saying, well, they've already been around the block a long time. And she had a couple of questions. The first one is kind of a raise of hands of how many of you feel younger than your numerical age? If you say 65, you feel like you're 30. You still have all that energy, but how many of you feel older than your numeric age? So younger people said, well, I'm really mature and I think I'm a little bit older than that. The answer she came up with was everybody who raised their hands were wrong. You are the age that you are. And this is very important when you start trying to recruit older members or older people into the club. the reason for this is there's no way to compare your feelings of what your age is compared to anyone else. It's just yourself. That's all you are. You are what you feel at the time. And the same thing for any other member, whether they're 21 or 71, it doesn't really matter. So next slide. You, a 55 or 65-year-old, which I'm a 65-year-old, I feel like I'm in my 40s. I feel young. I feel energetic. And, you know, somebody who may feel 75 when they're 55 or 65, maybe there's some health issues, maybe there's, you know, physical problems going on. The one that feels older, somebody like that, they may want to really focus just on the camaraderie of Rotary meetings, community events, where they're just wanting friendship, to be with other people who have passions about Rotary and wanting to do things in community service. And then you have people like myself. I want to be involved in community projects. When I was Centennial Sunset, we painted homes for people. We worked on roofs. We dug ditches for a school where we wanted to build a garden for them. Also traveling to foreign countries to help with projects. It doesn't matter how numerical of an age you feel. It's what you feel like you want to do, and to respect those different things from people. And this is, the next one is, it's important to determine what someone wants and the best way to ask. And it's important that you ask and lead them into more engagement and a better chance. And this is important to try to find out what this person wants when you start talking to them about Rotary. And what I always say is and this was also from the TEDx talk, avoid asking questions that elicit a one-word response or closed answers. Like asking, what are you interested in? Well, I don't know. How are you feeling? Okay. What do you want to do in Rotary? I don't know. What do you do? There is an important way of finding this, and your goal really is to find out, what does a prospective member really want out of Rotary? And if we go to the next slide, there are 2 words, simple words, that you can talk to and ask a person to elicit this kind of an open response where they tell you what their passion is. And the 2 words are, tell me. Tell me what you're passionate about. Tell me what you want to do for your community, your world, or others. Tell me, just tell the person, hey, I'm interested in finding out what you're about. And this goes with younger members, potential members, or older ones. Use the word tell, the 2 words, tell me what you want. And that opens up a whole other world for people. And what I find is, when you ask them what makes them feel passionate, it makes them feel important. And that's a really important recruiting method. If you make them feel important, that makes them feel like, well, I can share what I feel passionate about and tell them what I really believe in. And that makes them feel included. And that's really very important. If you want to keep a member for a long time, have a new member coming in, have them feel like they're included and you care about what they're saying. And using those words, tell me, makes the person feel like you're listening to them. And they're more likely to say, yes, I'm interested in Rotary because you're listening to what I want to know, what I want to do. We go to the next slide. And now you've engaged and interested the potential new older members, especially them, because they have an experience of life. They've been around for 55, 65, 75 years. You've now engaged them because now they can share what their passion is and what they've done in life. And this is where something called negotiation comes into play. Now, if you were at the last Zoom meeting a while back, I told you about assessing your club, doing kind of a forensic look into what's going on with your club, what's the problems, what are the good things that you do. Since I hope you've already done that or will be doing that before you become president, you have to know how that individual that you've just engaged, how they're going to fit into your club. And it's important because they want to have a feeling of yeah, now you're listening to me, but how do I fit in with this group here? And if we go to the next slide, negotiation. When you negotiate with somebody, there's this common fallacy that it's one side has to win versus the other side. In true negotiation, it's both sides win. And maybe your club does some of the things that, you know, they want to do. And then maybe you don't. And another club in your area is better suited to their needs and passions. And this is something that I really want to stress, is that we want to gain Rotarians. And yes, we'd like to build your club, but maybe, like, whether it's the time, I mean, Reno Centennial Sunset really intrigued me because it was an evening club and I had too much work to do in the daytime, so I couldn't make it even in my 50s. You know, here I was, I haven't established businesses and still couldn't make it for those lunch meetings. So the evening meeting really helped a lot. I don't wake up at 6 in the morning very easily, except for if my dog wakes me up. So a breakfast meeting wasn't, you know, appropriate. So, but I also, when I looked at what I was doing recently and trying to charter this new club of the International Exchange, even evening meetings were starting to get difficult for me because of the business growth and time constraints. So we have a new club that we moved over to, and I have a passion for Rotary Youth Exchange. My daughter had gone to Italy for a year. I've been an exchange student, so is my wife. That's where we got passionate about a particular area. And when Dennis talked about, you know, there's an environmental chair, maybe we get an environmental club, one that's really interested in it. And I know they're doing that up in the Seattle area. So I'm going to turn it over to Randy now. We're going to add a little bit different aspect of getting new members who are older.
Thank you, Mark. We'll go to the next slide, please. Okay, bringing vocational service into your club, adding vocational service into your membership team is not only a great way to find new Rotarians, but also retain Rotarians. And I'd like to expand on retaining Rotarians. Consider featuring a member at one of your regular meetings to give a 2 to 3 minute vocational talk about their business. You know, Rotarians are real proud about what they've done to be successful, and yeah, give them a little time at your meetings if you don't already do so. Vocational service sets Rotary apart from other service organizations. Okay, your next slide, please. The recognition of worthiness of all useful occupations, the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupations, an opportunity to serve society. That ties right into featuring a member at one of your meetings to give a vocational talk. And high ethical standards in business and professions is real key. And they're easy to spot those folks in established businesses.
So we look at what about the rest of us? Where do you find new older members? Well, when we look at research, we find out that the majority of new small businesses, everybody thinks it's people in their 20s, you know, the Mark Zuckerbergs or people like that. It's actually not true. It's people between the ages of 35 to 45 are the ones who are the new small businesses. And that's where you can start focusing on the small business, and which is really ties in with vocational. And over 54% of small businesses are owned by people over the age of 50. So you have a huge market right there. People who want to show their business off. They want to share it in vocation. They want to talk about this. I love what Reno Centennial Sunset did. They had something called a percational talk, which was combining vocational with personal, what their life journey has been over the years, and then also how they got into their job, how they got into their occupation. And really surprisingly, and then this, I keep on coming back.
It's easy for
when I come back to
it's not as discreet.
Yeah, it's like what most people, they've never been asked to join a Rotary Club. I know of a person who knew 11 Rotarians over the years and had never been asked to join the Rotary Club. They had 11 friends. And they said, we were really interested. And when I said, well, I'll help you join a Rotary Club, maybe not mine, but someone else. They're like, thank you. Somebody finally asked me. And I think that's one of the most important things. And when I did my last presentation on Zoom, this group is to ask. We now know where to find them, small businesses, we know, in our personal lives and our social areas, just to ask the person too. So we go to the next one. Again, ask, just ask somebody to join. We asked a couple, but they couldn't join our club because frankly, they work on Wednesdays and Sundays, the 2 days that our club meets, and they both run it just their business by themselves. So, but we asked other people, and this also goes for things like being a host family for RYE. If they have children, do they want to go to RILA? Do they want to go to, any of the other programs that we have for young people? And the next one is really ending age bias. We want to get younger members, yes, but we want to get good Rotarians like, Shauna and Justice said, you want to have quality too. You want to make sure that what you have coming in is somebody who's passionate. And that's where you use that term, tell me what you're passionate about. Tell me what intrigues you about Rotary, because you've probably done the spiel about what you're excited about Rotary, what you've done over the years. And I've had projects that were just phenomenal that still to this day, we did 22, 23 years ago. That got me excited about staying with Rotary. We had one where a father was killed in a car, in an accident up an incline, and the family, first Christmas without him. We went with our club. We had all the things for Christmas, food, turkey, the whole bit. And to see the look and presence for the children, to this day, I still remember it. Also remember it because one of the Rotarians crashed, one of the police officers who were there with us actually crashed into one of the Rotarians' cars. And so we had this little feeling of something special. You can share those type of stories. That's also important, but then ask them, tell me what you want to do with it. And then the next one is, of course, negotiate. Find out what they want to do, and does it really fit with what your club and your current members are excited about? So if somebody's, excited about doing environmental work and nobody else in the club does, that might not fit so well. And that's where you start looking at, maybe they belong in another club like Dennis's, who have a share of the environment, the things of that nature. We want to make sure that they actually fit with that. Because one of the things that you don't want to do is lose a Rotarian. And losing a Rotarian sometimes is a problem, because then they're going to say things like, well, they didn't care about me. They didn't care about what I was doing, so I don't like Rotary. And they start saying that to other people. So we have to start negotiating with them as to what you want to do, what they want to do, and work together. And the other one is small business. Really look at the small businesses that you have that are around in your area. One of the things about Reno and why we have 9 clubs in our city, in the Reno Sparks area, is because it's one of the fastest growing regions in the country. I don't know if you know this, but the area, the zip code 89521 had more apartments built in it in the past 5 years than any other zip code in the United States. That means people are moving here for jobs. They're opening up small businesses, and they are the people who want to now join this new community that they've moved into. And Rotary is the perfect place to do that. So next is, I'm really here to help anybody who, when you are looking at becoming the president-elect or you're a membership chair, I'm here to help. So contact me at any time. I'm going to be visiting pretty much all the clubs in the district over the next 3 years. I'm going to be planning with that, and I would do a talk for your club. I'll be contacting you as I start finding out when my schedule is allowing me to meet with all the different clubs. Because this is, as Stacy and Dennis know, this is one of the largest areas of a district in the United States for sure. And it's a very large one geographically, going from all the way in Auburn and Grass Valley and that all the way over to, Elko and that. So it's rather large. So it's going to take me some time to get there, but I'm looking forward to helping everyone. So you can always contact me either my email, which is usually the best way, or my phone. And then, Randy's got his information in there as well to contact him about vocational issues.
Thanks, Mark. If we could go back just a couple slides. There we go. Just want to expand on these topics. Established business owners make great Rotarians. They want to, and they are ready to give back to the communities that have supported them. In fact, of all the new member inductions I've had the pleasure of witnessing, the most common reason for joining Rotary is the desire to give back to their communities, and we see that all the time. But who do you ask? It comes to mind, you're a physician, you're a lawyer, you're a banker, you're an insurance broker, you're an accountant, you're real estate agents, but don't forget about all the vocational occupations out there: restaurant owners, automotive repair technicians, municipality officers, contractors, IT professionals, any local business. There's just a huge variety of business owners that would make great Rotarians. You just have to ask. So, like Mark, I too plan on visiting as many clubs as I can in the district over the next 3 years. My email and phone number is there. You can reach out to me at any time. And thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, we have a couple things going on in the chat, gentlemen. So we're going to allow people to raise your hand if you have a question. They're both excellent, their knowledge, but I see that District Governor nominee designate Kurt typed in chamber, realtors, local social media sites, schools. If you have an educator in your club, lots of great ideas there. The Chamber of Commerce, how many clubs on here by a raise of hand virtually are members of the chambers within their communities? It's a great way to find potential people, business owners or business leaders to join your club. And we also, Peggy came in with a very good thing, Mark, and she said, what is a good way to determine new arrivals in our communities? Do we have any ideas on that? That's a great question.
Yeah, I've been noticing in the local newspaper, the Reno Gazette-Journal, for instance, when they start talking about new businesses coming into the community, every week it's like new restaurants that have opened up, new businesses that have moved here. The chamber is another great place to look at. In Nevada, you can also go to something called EDON, which is a Northern Nevada group that's trying to bring new businesses into town. Quite often they look at big business, but they also look at small businesses as well. And I did notice one comment here about the misconception of people who are not all the people who become Rotarians or should be asked to become Rotarians own businesses. Many of them just people who work in the community. I know of people who work, say, at a coffee shop or someplace like that. They want to give back to the community.
Okay, great.
When you ask them about it, that's the tell me thing. What are you interested in? What's passionate about? If they say I want to give back to the community or I want to do something, with youth services. Wow, that's a place, and it doesn't matter what you do for a living. Everybody can become one. It's just whether they have a passion for doing something for the rest of the world, like all of us.
Wonderful. And then, of course, District 5190 is so blessed to cover 2 states. So we also have Randy. Do you have anything for business networking and what these clubs that are located in the state of California can do? You're muted. Randy, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, there are multiple networking opportunities that you can get involved in, and Kurt had mentioned a couple of them. The chamber is just a huge opportunity to get involved in, and other opportunities. Just off the top of my head, yeah, the chamber is really good. Anything that has to do with your schools and the education systems, the being on various board of directors, whether it be the hospital, just a lot of opportunities there to network.
And I believe, Randy, don't you belong to a business networking group there in Truckee?
I did for a while. It was business networking, BNI, for a while, but it just it wasn't fitting my needs at the time. But that is out there, business network.
Okay, thank you. So BMI is another one that you'll see a lot of young professionals actually join those versus over chambers. It's a very interesting thing, or at least I've noticed that in Auburn. So BMI usually has a lot of younger people than I in there. All right, any other questions, any other comments?
And I do want to say yes, Judy Spees, who was president before me, and Incline, you should be getting an award for being and tuning in from Maui, which is right now at 7:20 in the morning. So, that's dedication to Rotary, I might add.
All right, gentlemen, can you let us know what's next?
A break. We will be coming back at 10:35, so we ended a little bit early on our group here. And then we're going to go into foundation from there.
All right, thank you. Everybody go ahead and refresh in that cup of coffee. Take a bathroom break if you must, but we'll see you back very shortly. I have a great question for those who are still on while we're taking a break. If you want, why don't you share how you were asked to join Rotary or come to a meeting? Does anybody have anything that's still on?
I got one, Miss Stacy.
Yeah.
So, our club had been chartered. I guess they were maybe a year formed, and they used to do a big fundraiser that was a roast, and they had the ballroom booked, the tickets sold, and their person they were roasting messaged them the day of the event and said a family emergency has come up and I will not be able to attend. And Shauna texted me and she said, I'm having a theatrical emergency. And I said, I have trained my life for this moment. Put me in, coach. And I had no idea even what Rotary was at that time. My girlfriend just knew that I had a skill set that they needed in an emergency. And I agreed to do it. In about 4 hours, I put together a character to sit in place of this public figure for the roast event so they could still have their evening going on. And then the people I met at that event, I instantly recognized as some of the highest quality people that I had met in a long time. And their attitude was amazing, their sense of humor, their ability to help and put effort into pivoting with what was going on for this event that was, for all intents and purposes, in a complete state of meltdown. So that's my story. So to summarize that into kind of like 2 points about how I was invited to Rotary, I had a skill set that they saw I needed. So I was specifically invited without really the agenda of membership. I was just invited to help out. And then I fell in love with the people.
That's awesome. And William, I saw you had your hand up.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for me to talk, that I can do. I actually wasn't invited to join Rotary initially. When I first got into business, I was on the board for the Dane Chamber of Commerce, the Carson City Young Biz Professionals, the president of the Silver Springs Business Networking International Chapter, which is the organization you just mentioned a second ago. And I started going to the Rotary event at their lunch meetings because I was moving into Fernley. And they said that I was 3 miles closer to Carson City because I currently lived in Dayton, not Fernley, and that I should go talk to the Carson City chapter, not the Fernley chapter. And so I had to come as a guest for 6 months until I finally closed escrow on my house in Fernley and was able to then join because I was within geographical distance of their club. And I thought that was interesting. I'm glad policies have changed over the last decade because the fact that it used to be linked to where you slept, not where you worked, was an interesting idea years ago.
Yeah, that's a wonderful observation, William. I actually live in Grass Valley and my business is in Auburn, so I joined an Auburn club. So
Yes.
that's wonderful.
And Stacy, you're welcome to join one of the Grass Valley Nevada City clubs anytime. We'd be more than happy to welcome you. We might even put you to work.
Oh, well, I'm gonna take some time off.
That's for sure. Hey, Stacy.
Stacy?
Stacy, it's now for time for Nora to
Okay.
introduce Roberta.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just had to ask those questions.
Well, welcome back, everyone. If you came on at the end of this kind of quiet discussion while we were on break about how we were all asked to join Rotary with some interesting stories. I am very pleased to introduce past district governor and current district Rotary Foundation chair, Berta Pickett.
So good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Excuse me, I apologize. There we go. So my focus this morning is to share with all of you the magic of giving to the Rotary Foundation. You know, sometimes magic is all about what's hidden and what's behind the scenes, and things happen that we don't really understand. It's like, wow. Well, I think it's really important for all of us as Rotarians to understand how that magic happens, because there is magic in Rotary and there's magic in the Rotary Foundation, and that's part of why we do such incredible things and why we can do such incredible things. So I'm going to be talking about that this morning. I'm that DRFCC, that stands for District Rotary Foundation Committee Chair. It's a mouthful. And I've recently taken over this position from past District Governor Doug McDonald, who many of you I probably know or knew, and he recently passed away. So I have taken over his big shoes and going to go forward with talking about the magic. So I think important to start with is to understand a little bit of the difference between Rotary International, Rotary, which we sometimes call RI, and the Rotary Foundation, which we call TRF. And for many years, it was like, where'd the T come from? What's the T? It's the. Well, okay. So the Rotary Foundation is the official name, and it is different from Rotary International. RI, our clubs are 501c4s. They're nonprofits, but they're not full nonprofits. They're more social organizations from a legal perspective, whereas the Rotary Foundation is a full 501c3 nonprofit. And one of the biggest differences between RI and TRF, if you will, is that RI collects dues and charter clubs and is there to support our clubs, whereas the Rotary Foundation is to bring funds into its fold, raise funds, manage those funds, and collect donations. So a big difference there. But together, the Rotary Foundation is able to do the work of Rotary International. So together you could say we are Rotary. Big question so many people often ask is why give? Why give to the Rotary Foundation? What makes a difference? I like to say that when you give to the Rotary Foundation, it gives back to you, and it transforms the donations or the gifts you give into grants that are used for programs and projects. And those, as we know, the projects and programs that we do in Rotary change lives. And that's why we give, because we can do even more when we give to the Rotary Foundation than if just we donate to our clubs themselves. There are many ways to give, and I know you've heard many of them, but these really are parts of the Rotary Foundation. So the first one is Polio Plus, sometimes called End Polio No. And so the Polio Plus Foundation is a huge one that's separate. It's a separate fund within the Rotary Foundation. The annual fund really supports our projects and our programs that we do today in today's world, the grants that we get in this year. And the endowment fund allows us to provide these programs and these projects going forward into the future, hopefully forever. There's a lot of other ways you can give. There's just disaster response funds that you can donate to specifically, or an area of focus if you're just interested in donating to health or to the environment or something. So it's up to you. Lots of ways to give, but let's talk about a little bit about each of these. So Polio Plus, we all know about that. It is Rotary's #1 priority in terms of a project, and it is going to continue until polio is wiped off the face of the earth. We made a promise to the children of the world many years ago that we would not stop till we're done. And we are very close. We are very close to eradicating it from the world, which is in itself is incredible what we've accomplished, but we're not done. And so we will continue to focus on this as our major project until it's finished. When you give to Polio Plus, those gifts can only be spent on polio. They're not separated out in any way. The donations that give to polio go to polio. The other one we have is the annual fund share, and it's also called the SHARE program. And it's through the SHARE program that when you donate to the foundation, and usually when you donate at your club, that's where your funds go, unless you specifically tell them to go someplace else. So it's through this system that our donations are transformed into grants. And that's what funds both our local grants that we get through our district or international global grants. It can also go to scholarships and other activities as well. But this is the major area that we focus on, and we'll be saying more about this. The way this works, and I think this is where sometimes it's like, it's also where the magic happened, but it's also like, this is crazy, I don't understand it. It takes a long time to figure it out. It's not really that difficult. So we give to the foundation, and our contributions are put into an interest earning account and held for 3 years. So that money stays in those funds earning interest, and that interest is used so that it can partially pay for our operating funds. But it doesn't cover quite all of it. So at the end of the 3 years, the money is going to come back to us. They're going to take 5% off the top for operating funds. But bottom line is the remainder comes 50% back to the district. And they're called district designated funds because they're designated for the district. So what we gave to the foundation comes back to us 50% directly. The other 50% goes into what's called the World Fund. So basically, you've got a lot of the funds that we've given just coming right back to us. And we at the district take that 50% of the DDF and we break it in half again. And up to 50% we get back in a lump sum called a block grant. And we can give that back to all of you, to the clubs, in the form of district grants. And the other 50%, that goes for us to give out for those of you, your clubs that apply for a global grant or want to contribute to the Peace Centers or to Polio Plus. So we get at least 50% of our contributions back right into the district. On the World Fund side.
Roberta?
Yes, sir.
People are saying that you're not sharing your PowerPoint.
What? Oh my goodness. It says I cannot start screening while someone else is sharing.
You should have. We made you a host, but go ahead.
Well, let me try again. Do you want, not quite sure where to start. Let me start with this screen because I think this is really an important one to.
You're now sharing.
Okay, so let me go forward to that one screen I was talking about. We talked about polio, the annual fund, and endowment. And so the annual fund is really where our grant funds come from. And our contributions, our donations that we give to the Rotary Foundation and through the annual fund are held for 3 years in an interest-bearing account. And at the end of those 3 years, the 4th year, they come back to us in a lump sum. 50% of what we've given to the Rotary Foundation comes back in what's called district designated funds, or DDF. The other 50% that we donated 3 years ago goes to the World Fund. The 50% that comes to our district, we are able then to give that back to you, to our clubs. We give it back to you in the form of district grants, and we give it back to you in the form of global grants for those clubs that don't apply for a global grant. And we also contribute to peace centers around the world, and our district contributes to Polio Plus as well. The other interesting thing is when the 50% that goes into the World Fund, it also funds global grants and peace centers and polio around the world. But the interesting thing is that the global grants also get funded. Money comes back to us, to our district, from the World Fund to help fund your global grants. So much of what we give to the Rotary Foundation actually does come back to our clubs in the form of grants and grant money. There's also what we call the endowment fund, and that's where we can bequest money in an estate plan. We can open up a life insurance, and the beneficiary is the Rotary Foundation, or we can give an outright gift. And these are really the legacy that we can leave for the Rotary Foundation. One of the interesting things about the way we do it in TRF is that the initial contribution that you give to the endowment fund is never spent. Only a portion of the earnings are spent, and that allows your gift to grow and grow and grow into the future and into perpetuity. And those earnings that are spent go back into funding our programs and our projects. So you could say that our annual gifts help people live better lives today, but the planned gifts that are given to the endowment support those same programs, but they do it forever because it's only the interest that we are spending off of that money that is contributed. The reality is that's not how much we give, but how much we love we put into giving. And I think that quote by Mother Teresa really says it for all of us, because in Rotary, and maybe in the old days of Rotary, you had to give a lot. It's not true. You don't have to. There are so many ways we can give. And we talked about that earlier in our previous presentations. It's about how much love you put into the giving, even if you can just give a small amount, or if your gift is a skill set that you bring to your club. People often ask, what about all these recognition levels and what are they, and the pins that we get, and people don't always understand them. So I thought I'd go through these pretty quickly. $25 per year is what's called Every Rotarian Every Year as an individual. If you can give that, that's really what we're asking for as a minimum. If you can, still voluntary, but that's a little over $2 a month. So most people can afford to do that if they choose to. $100 per year is what we call a sustaining member. And if you give $100 a year then to Polio Plus, the sustaining member is to the annual fund, but 100 years to Polio, 100 per year to Polio Plus makes you eligible for the Polio Plus Society. And you have to fill out a form in order to actually become a society member. but that really is a contribution that says you're going to do that till polio is eradicated from the earth. $1,000 cumulative is what we call the Paul Harris Fellow, or also called PHF. And if you commit to doing $1,000 every year, then you become eligible for what's called the Paul Harris Society. And again, you have to complete a form to do that, but that shows a huge commitment on your part to donating every year to the Rotary Foundation. It goes beyond that. And so if you do donate $1,000 or more in your will or trust, you become a benefactor. If you continue to give over the years as a Rotarian and you've put in over $10,000, that's considered a major donor. That doesn't have to be done all at once. That's just done over time. If you give $10,000 or more as a single gift, that's a major gift. And I'm saying these things because we hear these terms and we often don't really know what they mean. 10,000 or more that you put into your will or trust makes you a member of the Bequest Society. And for those who are able to become a Paul Harris Society member, a major donor, and a Bequest Society member, those folks are now called Triple Crown members. So those are different options. And there are a few amazing people who are able to give $250,000 or more to the Rotary Foundation, and they become members of the Arch Clump Society. So lots of different ways to give on very many different levels. And there are also levels for the club to do. So EREY, that stood for Every Rotarian Every Year. It's a little bit different than the club, than an individual way of achieving EREY. We'll talk about that in a second. 100% sustaining clubs and 100% Paul Harris Fellow clubs. So let's talk about that. For EREY, Every Rotarian Every Year, as we mentioned, a EREY individual is $25 per year to the annual fund. But for the club level, they have to have every single one of their club members has to give at least 25, and 100% of their members' average has to be over $100. You know, we all have situations, and I'm sure it's true in all of our clubs, that some folks can give $25 and that's what they're comfortable with at this point in their life. And others can give a lot more. And that average comes out, if it comes out to over $100 per person in your club and everybody's given at least 25, then you do qualify as an EREY club. And you're recognized at the end of the year by either the current district governor or the previous district governor. But it's a proud thing to put in at your club meetings to show that the level of commitment that your club has. There's a huge other benefit that our district governor line created over the last year and is going to carry forward into the next few years. And that is, if your club achieves EREY by the end of this year, by the end of June 30th, then your club qualifies to receive up to a $750 additional bonus of funds for a single club grant, or $1,000 if your club is doing a multi-club grant next year. So in addition to your grant that you get from the district matching grants, this is additional money that you can get for your club to do more impactful projects if you achieve EREY, excuse me. Another thing your club can accomplish is a sustaining club. And that's where everyone in your club has given at least $100 to the annual fund for that year. So again, you get a banner, we get to recognize you, and you can I was going to say wear it proudly, but display it proudly at your club meetings and events, because this is truly an accomplishment and a commitment to the Rotary Foundation. And yes, it's a huge way to surprise you. The third one is the Paul Harris Fellow Club. And this, as you know, it takes $1,000 of accumulated giving to become a Paul Harris Fellow. But to be a Paul Harris Fellow Club, that means every single person in your club must have achieved that Paul Harris Fellow designation. Yes, that is truly a huge accomplishment. And the interesting thing is, once you have achieved that, it is permanent. It is forever forward. So even when members leave or new members join, you still can claim the claim of being a Paul Harris Fellow Club. This is really something to be congratulated for. So again, we all say thank you, and we have all our pins to display when we become Rotarians, and we wear them proudly. So you may have seen the Paul Harris Fellow pin. That's for $1,000. As you add additional money to that contributions, this example here is a Paul Harris Fellow +5. You can see the 5 emeralds there. And that means this person is actually given $6,000, because the first Paul Harris Fellow is 1, and then there are 5 additional showing for each of those. That's another 1,000. So our pins give recognition. They turn into rubies after number 5. So you can tell another amount of how much people give. A major donor pin, it shows like this, a Paul Harris Fellow, a Paul Harris Society, shows that you have this banner at the bottom of it. That shows that you've committed to $1,000 per year. The benefactor has another little banner that it adds to behind the pin, the Bequest Society pin, the Triple Crown donor, and the Arch Clump Society pin. So as you see different clubs on people, you can understand a little bit more of where they are in their giving to the Rotary Foundation. Again, the question comes back, why give? And I'm going to repeat it, because when you give to the Rotary Foundation, it gives back to you. It is what helps to fund our programs and our projects that make the world a better place.
Get these people to shut up. I don't want to listen to them. Anyway,
Go ahead, Roberta. Sorry, somebody muted. Or Roberta froze. Oh, there she is.
We can save a child from contracting polio. We can allow a young girl to finish school. We can support children who've escaped a violent environment, or provide a young adult the means to start a new business, teach a veteran a new skill, or even clean up and support a community. These are the things and the reasons we give to our foundation, because we can do greater projects with our clubs that have greater impact than we can if we only do it alone. It is the magic of Rotary. And I love this quote by Bernard Meltzer. He said that there is no better exercise for your heart than reaching down and help to lift someone up. And that's what we do in Rotary and with the Rotary Foundation. So what can you do to make the magic of Rotary happen? First of all, set annual goals, because when we set goals, there is statistics that show when people or organizations set goals, they tend to make them happen. If we don't set goals, it doesn't mean we can't make it happen, but we're more likely to achieve our goal if we actually put it in writing and get it out there. So set the goals, put them out there, what you want to achieve as a club. Allow a weekly or a monthly talk about the Rotary Foundation. Many people in our clubs, especially newer members, don't know about the Rotary Foundation. And instead of it being magic, it feels like a black hole. So allow your foundation chair or one of our committee members to come and talk to your club about the Rotary Foundation, or just give a little minute about what the Rotary Foundation can do. Share the many ways, the different ways that your club members can give to the Rotary Foundation. Show them how easy it's to use Rotary Direct. We can donate online. It is so easy, and it is a simple way, just a little over $8 a month, and you can become a sustaining member. You can do it online, and you kind of just forget about it. That's 2 cups of coffee. Bring in a speaker to talk to your club about legacy giving. And legacy giving is that benefactor where you look to the future and help to fund Rotary into the end of time. Find out different ways your clubs can be recognized. This is kind of what we talked about a little bit with the different club levels. And participate in the global grants or district grants. That's one of the best ways. I mean, we have so many ways that we can help you to maximize your club dollars and to do more impactful projects. And if you don't understand it, come and ask us. That's what we're here for. So as individuals, lead by example. Give to the Rotary Foundation. Whether you can give a little or you can give a lot, that doesn't matter. It's coming from your heart and it makes a difference. Every dollar can make a difference. We said something early about taking a minute, maybe once a month, to talk about your foundation. You know, in that last segment, Mark talked about saying, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your passion. Tell me about who you are. Well, this is another tell me opportunity. So have someone in your club tell the club why they give to the Rotary Foundation. So maybe someone in their family suffered from polio. And so now their Polio Plus donations know that future children will never suffer from that disease. That's powerful. People understand that makes a difference. Maybe your home was burnt in a wildfire and afterwards your family received some hands-on help or gift cards to get through those days. That people can understand. Maybe your heart hurts just hearing and seeing the devastation of worldwide drought. You have that compassion in your heart. So you donate to global grants that support clean water and sanitation. We can all get behind that and understand it. Or maybe you long for peace. And so you support Rotary's Peace Fellowship program that will build and is building a better, safer, more peaceful world. These are all reasons why. We all have many reasons. They're all valid and they're individual. When you ask someone else to tell you about their reason, it can make a difference for them because they can share their passion, and it can maybe make a difference for you to understand, wow, I want to give to something like that too. There's another quote here by the Indian poet Tagore, who said, "The one who plants trees, knowing that he will never sit in their shade, has at least started to understand the meaning of life." And I think that really speaks to us as Rotarians too, because our mission in Rotary is to see a world where we take action to create lasting change, right? Lasting change across the communities in our globe and in ourselves. And back when I was district governor, I talked about how when you give joy to others, that joy comes back to you. Giving to the Rotary Foundation, that joy comes back to you because you know you have changed lives. You may never sit in the shade of that tree, but someone else will at some point in time. What I do want to share is a short little video, and this is from Tim Williams. Tim was not able to be here with us this morning because, believe it or not, he was meeting with RI President Gordon McAnally. He is from the Rotary Club of Tahoe Douglas, and he is next year's Triple Crown chair, taking over from Randy House, who's been it for the last 3 years. Tim is also an Arch Clump and Legacy Society member. And hopefully many of you heard about this past year when all our clubs and all of us as individuals were challenged to meet a $1 million challenge. Tim's challenge was to say, if our clubs, if we commit to $1 million, he will match that. Wow, right? Wow. And guess what? We did. Our clubs, our District 5190 came forward, individuals from many different clubs came forward and said, I will contribute more to this Rotary Foundation, and we will help to meet this challenge. And we have exceeded the $1 million mark. And Tim was behind it, and he will be matching that $1 million. So let me see if we can do this. There's Tim, and he's going to give us a little talk for just a second.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Berta asked me to talk a little bit about the Rotary Foundation and why I was interested in supporting it. And, really it was something I'd always wanted to participate in, because I do know that the Rotary Foundation and the endowment that we have, the money we put into, it stays there forever, and it really goes in perpetuity, just spending the interest that it makes. So when we think about it, it truly is a legacy, something I can put in, and it'll continue to go on forever. Also, it's been ranked as one of the best uses of funds. All the money that goes to it, it's got one of the top rankings for the administrative fees being so small. So put that aside, which is great. For me, it was really figuring out hitting my why, and I want to support mental health issues and awareness, and that was something that RI President Gordon McAnally had talked about as one of his top items for this entire year. And so that's just completely aligned with my why, and drove me to want to really contribute and do something big this year. So I hope you do consider not only being part of this, but also encouraging the rest of the members of your club to be part of the foundation, whether it's through a bequest or a direct donation, part of the Paul Harris Society. Any of those are a fantastic way to get involved. But find out what your why is and let that drive.
Thank you to Tim. If you see him, shake his hand. He has made a difference, and he is making difference, as all of you are. So remember, you make the magic happen. It is through your clubs, through your projects, and through your support and donations to your foundation, which is the Rotary Foundation. That's the way you amplify the magic of Rotary. You make more happen through using your foundation. It is the magic of Rotary. Make more happen. So, do you have any questions? We have 2 minutes for questions.
You can raise your virtual hand or put something in the chat. I'm sure past District Governor Roberta would be happy to answer. Okay,
Well,
Roberta, seeing none?
Seeing none, I would like to introduce our next speaker, and that is Robin Milam from the Rotary Club of Nevada City.
I'm here, everyone. Just let me get my screen. So can you see my screen? Great. And you can hear me. So I am really pleased to talk today about the magic of community service. I am Robin Milam from the Rotary Club of Nevada City, and with the magic of community service, we're also going to look at the music it makes and what the melody that we are exploring today is. First of all, we're going to look at what is a community service committee, why have a committee. I'll talk about some tips and resources. I'll also look at goals and potential outcomes, and where do we start with a project? Where do we get ideas? How do we launch a project? And then I will do a sampling of projects from across our district. So to begin with, I want you to take just a moment and think of a very special project that you've participated in, whether it was with Rotary or some other organization. Ask the question, what made it memorable for you? Think of a project. Just jot down a couple things that stand out for you in terms of what made that memorable for you. And if you throw them into the chat, people can read and share them. For me, our club for many years participated in a Rock Creek hike where we partnered with the Tahoe National Forest and the middle school leadership class students were partnered with adaptive ed students for a hike. And at the end of the day, either Smokey the Bear or Woody the Owl would show up. And I can remember the sheer delight of the kids as they would come screeching and giving Smokey the Bear or Woody a big hug. And that is, it's one of those very special moments in Rotary that reminds me of why I love to be a Rotarian. Now, when we think of our community service projects, we can dream big. And it's important that we dream big, that we also look at the capability and the capacity of our club and the partners that we're working with to be sure that we temper our plans with reality. So, first question for you, what does our community service committee do? Why do we have a community service? Well, the role of the community service committee is, and the chair is to really take the leadership in terms of planning our projects, identifying what some key needs and partners in our community and sometimes beyond. Whether it's I'm specifically talking about community service within our local communities, but so much of what I'm talking about today also applies if you are looking at international projects, or if you're looking at other projects such as environmental or vocational projects. The committee also looks at what are the tools. Do we have the tools we need for doing some effective planning? If we want to do surveys, do we to identify needs? Do we have those tools? And also looking within your club or across your district to see, or area to see if there are members who have professional skills that could really come to play in addressing a specific need. And then, of course, highlighting projects, successful projects. And some of the key resources that Rotary provides is online, a set of tools. We've talked a couple times about the environmental, the new focus of environmental. Rotary has a large number of action groups. And if you're a member of an action group, throw it into the chat and share with others the action group that you're involved with. I'm involved with the Environmental Sustainability Action Group, or SRAG. And our club has gotten a lot of wonderful ideas about how to do some very meaningful projects, such as we've been collecting stretchable plastics and sending those to Trex, so that the Trex benches and decks that many of you may have Trex decks in your home, the plastic bags and stretchable plastics that we've collected and that organizations around the country have collected go into making those. So anyways, great ideas there. Also, Rotary Showcase is a repository of projects that clubs have completed around the world. In fact, this time of year is a great time to be posting projects that your club has completed so that you can share not only with our district, but with around the world. And it's a great resource for getting ideas about what are some needs and ways to address those needs. And then my Rotary has a section devoted to taking action and provides a lot of project management tools, including a community assessment tool that you can also find if you look under the documents page, documents for clubs page on our district website. And this is the community assessment tool is a brochure that outlines, it has tools such as surveys and how do you measure success and those types of things. It's a very valuable tool. And as Berta was just talking about, one of our best resources are the district grants. And these are monies, as Roberta was sharing, these are monies that come back to us from what we've donated into the Rotary Foundation as an allocation for our district. And if you, the district will match in this coming year up to $2,500. So if your club is planning a project and you've got a budget of $2,500, you can immediately double that budget by applying for a single grant, for a single club district grant. Now, there are other ways to increase that matching grant. And one of those ways is if you partner with other clubs, such as within Area 4, which is Nevada City, Grass Valley, Penn Valley area, we've done a number of projects where we get a 33% boost to our matching so that every club that participates at the level of $2,500 would actually be matched to take their contribution value to $5,800 times however many clubs are participating. So if you've got 3 clubs participating at $7,500, you immediately have increased the value of your donations to over $17,000. And then, of course, Roberta was also talking about our every Rotary every year participation clubs, and you get a bonus of up to 30%, 30% up to $750 per club for an individual club, or if you're in a multiple club, it goes to $1,000 per club. So great ways to invest a small amount of money with a big impact and grow your money. So community service is about giving back to our community, and it's the reason why many of us are Rotarians, because of the service and the difference that we're making individually and as a club. And the benefit goes far beyond just giving back to our community, because it's a great way to attract new members and engage members, whether they're new members or members who've been involved in your club, working shoulder to shoulder, whether you're pushing a paintbrush or planting trees or distributing brochures, partnering with club members. It's a great way to get to know them. It's a great way to get to know our families. And beyond the clubs, if you're doing, especially either district or at an area level, you get to meet Rotarians in other areas. And I've already mentioned the benefit of stretching your grant dollars by doing multiple club projects. And of course, it's just simply more hands make for bigger projects and makes it simpler for clubs to do good work. So one of the things that, and it also promotes Rotary well beyond your community. I mean, we started the day talking about attracting younger members, And a great way to attract younger members is not only doing projects, but telling your community about what we're up to. So one of the things that we also want to focus on is the fact that, you know, we think about doing a project, and a lot of times we think it's got to be some big multi-year project. And actually, one of the things that our club does is we focus on smaller, in fact, I'm presenting for Kathy Wilcox Barnes today, who's the district community service chair, and she talks about one and done projects. Have a target of maybe doing one project a month or one project a quarter that involves your club members, and they're easy to accomplish. They don't always take money, and I mean, I'm not sure. I suspect that Reno Central collected monies in order to donate the food that they're distributing for a holiday, but Carson City doing collecting lithium-ion batteries in partnership with Redwood Materials and also a local community company. This is a day-long project. They came in one day. Obviously, they did some planning, but for the project itself, one day they were in and out, and it was done, and they collected a significant amount of lithium-ion batteries, which are going to Redwood Materials to be recycled. And in Auburn, this last year, they did, the club went in and painted the Auburn Library for one day. And that didn't cost them anything because they had warehouse paint donating the paint. So think big, but also think small and simple. So where do we start? Where do we get ideas? You can put some ideas in the chat about where you think we should be starting. But looking for key ideas, obviously asking key leaders in your community. One of the projects that our club did during COVID was we saw in the paper that our food bank had an urgent need for additional food because of the demand that was happening, the need in our community during that time of crisis. And so we responded, interviewing community leaders and government agencies. A number of clubs, and I know our club, we partner with our health department to do flu shot clinics, and our police department uses us as volunteers. And then I've already mentioned the food banks, but land trust, I'm involved with our local land trust, and we have a lot of projects working in the clearing areas or replanting, and these are great ways to get ideas, fresh ideas that will to make a difference in your community. And I've already talked about the Rotary Showcase. And first tip, don't go it alone. Even within your club, you've got opportunities for partnering with other avenues of service. We've talked about vocational. In this particular project, the Interact Club of Placer High is collecting plastics which are going to Trex that I've talked about. And so partnering with youth, whether it's an Interact Club or it's just young people in your community or looking at ways of serving your community. And then I've also already talked about the environmental sustainability. But look at casting your net farther afield, partnering with other clubs within our district or in the area. And this particular picture is some Nevada City Rotarians with Chief Dan Fox, who is happens to be both a Nevada City Rotarian, but he's our chief of police. And we, during Victorian Christmas and other holiday events, help the police in terms of being a welcoming committee, and lots of other nonprofits. You've got some thoughts throw them in the chat. I'm to share with others. So let's look for a few minutes at what's been going on within District 5190. You know, there are district projects. One of the projects that a number of Rotarians from around the district participated in this year was after the Caldor fire. Rotarians from District 5190 participated with the Boy Scouts and the Sugar Pine Foundation. The Sugar Pine Foundation donated saplings, which the participants in spent a day in Grizzly Flats planting new saplings is remediation after the fire, after the Caldor fire. Some area-wide projects within the Grass Valley, Nevada City area. We had 4 clubs come together, and we each donated $2,500, which the district then matched at the 1 and 33% times. And the Grass Valley also had a fund that was in honoring Mike Johnson. So we made a $40,000 contribution to the Bright Futures for Youth, which is a local organization that's creating a new youth center. And I don't know if you can see the yellow arrow, but it's pointing to the Rotary Cafe, because our contribution went specifically to the Rotary Cafe. But we didn't just donate dollars. We also had activities where some of the clubs went in and helped paint. Some of the clubs helped, they also expanded an area in the back. Our club actually helped participate building a pergola so that there was an outdoor facility. And then within the Reno Sparks area, there's a wonderful achievement beyond obstacles. I suspect many of you are involved in this project. It has been going on for about 30 years, a very powerful project that takes a lot of time, a lot of planning, a lot of ongoing involvement. Each year, about 30 students are involved in the Achievement Beyond Obstacles, and they also get leadership. They participate in a 2-day Leadership Academy weekend. And the stories that come from the young people that participated in this program, even years after they've participated, they're transformational. One was a homeless, Tatiana was a homeless girl when she participated, and now she's a webmaster, and she's also an attorney and very successful, thanks in large degree to this particular project. So in other ways, at the club level or in an area level, we all know about the Greenville fire, and as some really good things, it was a very painful disaster for many people, but the Quincy and Greenville Rotaries came together and built a greenhouse using wood from the fire. And they did it at a place called The Spot, which the greenhouse actually served as a shelter for temporary food services while the community was rebuilding. And then the little dozer that did, this is a story about the bulldozer that helped clear the area in rebuilding. And it was made into a children's coloring book that the Rotary clubs are now distributing. So there's a lot of ways that clubs can make a difference within their community, especially in times of drastic need. In Reno right now, this year, the Reno Club of Reno put a new basketball hoop at our place, which is a family shelter. And I'm not going to play it, but there's a wonderful video that is on KOLO News sharing the story of the video of the UNR women's basketball team taught the children some basketball fundamentals during the day of the project. It's a very sweet story. And then ways of supporting the environment as well as youth service and community services, bundling all into one. Things such as building school gardens, which Grass Valley South and Grass Valley and Penn Valley are each building gardens for the local schools and engaging the children in how to grow gardens on their school site. And also reading and distributing books. Carson's actually, this heading is, the picture should be of the Portola Club. They do their Read Across America Day, and they dress up for their reading. And the picture actually shows Carson City donating a computer lab to the Salvation Army. So there are many ways, but whether improving the literacy, both reading as well as computer literacy for our clubs. And Pumpkins for Polio, Nevada City, actually, we started the year growing pumpkins on a farm. The farmer at Backbreaking Acres Farm donated the land, and then we auctioned. We had club members who are artists decorated the pumpkins from our garden, and then we auctioned them off at a day as a way of raising money for polio, but also engaging our community in the process. Other ways of engaging community is Cameron Park in Placerville hosted a community viewing party where that went to the observatory and enjoyed pizza as well as checked out the stars. And apparently Saturn and Jupiter were quite obvious that day. So things to remember as with every project, there's opportunities for expanding the money through grants and things like that, but every project should have a hands-on component because of the camaraderie and the lasting impact. I suspect that those of you who shared some of your thoughts as to memories had to do with some personal involvement in a project. And planning projects that make a difference, whether they're large or small, size doesn't matter. What matters is what's the need that's being addressed and how is it serving? Is it serving your community in a way that actually serves people in the way they want and need to be served? And very important, there are lots of ways that we can engage with partners, and obviously we really want to have fun while we're doing it. So the real question is, why community service? Well, you know, there are a lot of things that come to mind. First of all, you know, service above self is our motto. We've talked about it's a great way to engage members and get to know each other. But it also provides an opportunity for our members as well as our community residents to partner with us to get back to our community. And it brings awareness and attracts members, and it's a way to be doing something that makes a difference for our fellow members. And I think the real question is, why not community service? So in closing, I want to, and I can also address some questions if you have, but my message is enjoy making your own music, especially this coming year. So I've got about 3 minutes. questions, comments?
Does anybody have anything that was thinking outside the box that they did for a community project this year that they'd like to share? We all know what you've done. You guys have done some amazing things. Barbara, I know that you guys worked with Fish. Do you want to say anything about that?
Well, we've done several projects in the community, thank you for asking us. I think Peter can give you lots of information too. No, we've worked with Fish, we worked with the city, started an Interact Club, we're working with the schools. We're doing a lot with the schools. So we're out there, and depending on how many folks in the club want to participate, they are more than welcome. And that's one of the things that orientation that we push really hard is the community benefit and how they can help, and finding out what their needs are and then matching them with the projects that we want to do. We'll be doing a really big one come next year, but that's for Denison next year.
Okay, we're going to take one more thing from President Lindy from the Rotary Club of Penn Valley.
Hi, I just wanted to say if anybody's looking for a kind of an easy but very effective program, Rochelle Wellams from the RILA program, she works for an organization that puts on Breaking Down the Walls for middle school students. And we've done this twice in the last 5 years. And it's really great because it does help members can participate, but it does give you a really good insight into what's happening in your middle school as far as their mental health, their association with each other, how the teachers work together. And it's really a really wonderful program. So anybody from RILA, myself, you can contact Rochelle Wellams directly. It's not a cheap program. It's about $4,000, but we partnered with the Roots and Wings Foundation from our school district. And it's been a really, really great, it was a really great program again this year. And a couple of our new members participated, and it was very enlightening to them about what's going on in the school district there and what help they can use. Thank you.
And thank you, Lindy. I'm seeing Lori Marquette would like to talk, but her hand raising's not working.
Yeah, she typed in the chat.
Hi. I know we were pressed for time, but it's just a project that Truckee Rotary is working on. It's called Stuff the Bus. It's a nationwide program that's been very, very successful. We thought it would be a great opportunity to bring this program up to our region. And it's just, we're going to start with collecting supplies for school children. We're working with the school district to do that. And we literally take all the supplies that we gather and we stuff a school bus. So it's a 2-day event.
Wow.
We're looking at the end of August, and we will probably reach out to other Rotaries in the area to help us out. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And you're going to make some kids really, really happy.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And so next up is really going to be fun from 2 people in our district who are truly fun, and that is District Governor Stacey Graham and her sidekick, past District Governor Ray Ward. Go for it.
Good morning, everyone. We want to talk about fundraising, and as you can see, we're going to get rid of the D. But no, what we want to do is give you kind of some ideas, and we're going to do this a little bit differently at the beginning, because I've been to a lot of these type of sessions before, and they just talk about ideas. But I think there's some planning that needs to be going on. So I'm going to do the boring part, and then our District Governor of Fun, Stacey, will go on and showing you some ideas that she's seen this year. So let's get started. First of all, if you're doing a fundraiser, you really need to have a goal. And there's really 2 types of fundraisers that I see. Some of them are income-based because with money, we can do some more stuff, right? And that's what we're generally looking for, is to take other people's money and go and take that money to fund their projects, maybe projects locally or internationally. But the other time, sometimes our fundraisers are more exposure-based. So you may not make a lot of money, but guess what? The community gets to know you. You get to show them not only why you're an important asset to the community, but at the same time, you collect a little money while you're doing it. At least maybe you'll collect enough to pay for the cost of the booth and some of the other things that you may be doing right there. So generally speaking, when I hear people talk about fundraisers, they always talk about the idea and concept, which is important. You got to have something that actually attracts people to come to your events. There's also talk about, how do we market it? Do we put, posters up in stores? Do we put banners up? What kind of things are we going to do? Whether you're going to use social media or other things to make things, make people know about it, and so they'll come. And then we often get into a discussion on why is it going to be better? What did we do last year? How can we do it better if you're doing the same event? Or do we need to change the event because maybe that event has seen its better days? Whatever the case is, you work on these types of items. And oftentimes all you're talking about is getting more people in the door. Well, is that the most important thing? To me, if it's an income-based one, it's what we really need to concentrate on is getting the money. And sometimes we forget about this portion of it. And, if you're not getting the money, because you want to get other people's money, right? And that's one of the big things. Too often we go, our members got to sell so many tickets and they buy them themselves. They're the ones bidding on all the auction items. If you just look at, if that's all that's happening at your fundraiser, why have the fundraiser? Just give everybody a bill for $500 and move on and save you a lot of time and hassle. But what you want to do is get into other people's pockets and have them help you. Because two things will happen is, one is you probably raise a lot more money. And the second thing is they'll learn about your organization, and maybe they'll become future members because they see, wow, they're doing all these good things. They're providing all these things. I want to contribute to that. And when they're at the event, they may reach into that pocket a little bit farther and give you more money. So maybe that you can help another family if it's a food basket program, or maybe more dictionaries if you're giving out dictionaries. Whatever it takes for you, you may be able to take it to the next level. So I want to give you the story of two crab feeds. About 10 years ago, I switched clubs from my initial club to another club, and they both had a crab feed. Both of them, that was their major fundraiser. And what was interesting was my first club had around 40 members, the second club, 70. The attendance at the crab feed was around 300 for the first club, around 600 for the second club. They both did basically the same things. They had sponsorships, they had a raffle, they had a silent auction, they had a dessert auction, which actually got converted into a live dessert auction, and then they had a live auction. The second club, as you can see, was bigger, had more people. They had sponsorships, the raffle, the silent auction, the dessert auction, which was a silent one. And then they had all these games. They had things like a 50-50. They had a toss the coin. They had all these other things that you could participate at the event. The interesting thing was the first club, the year I left, netted about $29,000 worth of profit. The first year that I was with the new club, they did under 20,000. And I think one of the reasons why is the first meeting, when I was in the first club, the first meeting we would talk about the fundraiser, what we would ask the members is, can you bring people that will spend money at our event? So that focus was right there at the very beginning. We didn't care if we came in at 280 or 310 or something like that. Did we have the right people in the audience that are going to help make the event more successful? The first meeting in the second club, when it was announced, was pretty funny because I was there as a new member and so was another person. And they go, what's the most important part about our crab feed? and someone jumps up and says, to make money, and the room went silent. That was not their focus. They were thinking about, you know, how do we put on a good meal? And it's like, so it started to get people thinking a little bit different, but they were having a hard time of breaking out of that. And I think that's important to really look at, because you want to look at the return on your investment in time. Because guess what? We were talking about engaging members and keeping retention. If you're not raising enough money, we're not doing the projects that the people want to do, or maybe we're not doing them at the same level. If you have more money, it's just like anything else. You can invest that into the projects and the things you do in the future, which is going to keep your membership exciting, which is going to keep them involved. So know your audience, know what you can do. What kind of things are they looking for when they come to the event? If you know that, you should consider, do you want to force your members to sell tickets? My club does that. And it's funny because every year, not only do they say that we all have to be responsible for 10 tickets worth of sales, also right before the event, they go, do we have any idea how many people are going to show up? Because a lot of our members just hand the check over there, and they may give a couple people tickets, but they don't know, are these people invested in coming and being part and having the fun of our event? So now we're wanting, we don't want to buy too much food, so how many people do you think is really going to show up out of all these tickets we sold? So think about that. I know sometimes that you feel like you're forced to do it, but consider that and see if there's a way that you can talk to your membership and still get good attendance. But again, having your members focus on selling those tickets to quality people. Look for new ideas. But when you're looking at the new ideas, make sure when you're looking at those new ideas, you go, what's going to be the return on investment? I think there's only one other member of Stacy and I's club here, so I'll give us a little secret for last year. Last year, we had a whole bunch of discussion, I mean, hours and hours of discussion about adding pretzels to our Oktoberfest. Well, you know, that's kind of a good idea. We knew we could generate a little bit of money, but we spent so much time and effort on that and not really looking at some of the other areas that particular thing raised us about $700. Could we have looked at some other ideas? I mean, we could still do the pretzels, but could we look at some other ideas in that amount of time we spent deciding whether we're going to do that might have generated thousands of dollars to us? So just think about that when you're going through the ideas, you know, is there that return, and should we invest in that, or should we be thinking about other things? And the other thing I found is sometimes we just want to extend the length of the event to the longest possible time. You know, so we want like this marathon event. And I want you to think about that. Is that really the best thing? Because sometimes, you know, people get tired. And again, your members get tired because, you know, we still got to do cleanup afterwards. So how do we get the event to be the shortest amount of time that people will still give the most amount of money without doing it? I was hearing something that years ago that our club used to do a second band. So they had this investment in this second band so people could dance. And I was like, so why did we want it? Oh, we sold a few more beers by doing that. I was like, okay, so your volunteers are sitting there longer, waiting to clean up. Is that the best thing to make your volunteers happy and glad they put on the event because we made a couple $100 more? So just think about those things, because again, you want to have a fun event that your members are enjoying being part of, your members enjoying putting on, and the people that are attending are having a good time and raising the most money. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to the woman of fun, Stacy, to talk about the things she's seen around the district this year.
All right. And just really quick, Ray, I'd like to add in that it is always good to reach out to your membership and ask them personally, how do they think the fundraiser is going? What do they think could be improved? Often we do not listen enough to our members and what they are looking for. But with that said, we had some really fun party times this year at what I love to call fun raising. So first off is there's a really cool picture. District Governor-elect Dennis and I got to enjoy going to a Carson City Brew Fest. And it was absolutely amazing. If you guys haven't been, check out their website. It blew our minds. There was a band, the place was packed, there was people everywhere, and it was just a lot of fun. And whenever I saw members from the Rotary Club of Carson City, they were all really enjoying themselves. They were having a great time. Then you have Amador Upcountry, I believe that is, with the rib cook-off. And that's a lot of fun. I mean, who doesn't like ribs? And who doesn't like cars? Well, I like cars. But what a great way to engage people in your community that have a passion for older cars. It's just, and then they may end up joining your club. But you get more of an audience with that. And then, of course, you have the pancake breakfast. I believe that's out of the Rotary Club of Portola. Or no, that was the Eclipse and everything else. Alturas, I apologize. Portola also has a pancake breakfast. But what a great way to take advantage of something that happens very rarely. So the Rotary Clubs of Alturas invited people up. There was no hotels rooms left in that town. You could not find a place to stay. They took advantage of a once-in-a-lifetime event and then served pancakes. Absolutely amazing. And then we have Smith Valley with their ever-famous lamb feed. Absolutely wonderful if you like lamb, but they've been doing it for years. And let me tell you, if you could go to that to just see how they organize that, and it is so much fun.
You know, what I like about the lamb feed, Stacy, is that's different. I mean, I've never heard of that before until we were putting these slides together. That someone was doing something like that. And that would be something that would interest me.
Yeah. Okay, and then you have your ever so popular crab feeds. Well, as most of you know, I don't eat seafood. I can't eat seafood. So often what I ask you to do, and I know that Georgetown does it, Ione does it, and I believe the Amador of Upcountry just did it too, is they make sure that they have something for people that cannot have shellfish. So something you want to think about if you're going to do a crab feed is making sure you have something for people who cannot handle eating the shellfish. They also have wonderful, and if you have ever been to the Rotary Club of Georgetown Divide, you know they are a party club. And they also actually did a different thing this year. They added something else in for a fundraiser. It was a Jeep poker run up through some of the Rubicon. So it was really characteristic of their community. And they drew a lot of people in that didn't really understand or know a lot about Rotary. And it's very fascinating because they looked at their community and said, what would interest them the most? And then, of course, you have the boots, buckles, and all that fun stuff from the Rotary Club of Yerington. Absolutely wonderful time. I saw some pictures. I was unable to be there, but it was like a fun dance. Perhaps Nora can explain more about that. She's there, but she's not there. But Nora, do you want to explain more about that boots and buckles?
Boots, buckles, and bling. It's exactly what it says. We have, we kick our heels up. We have silent auction. We have a huge raffle, and we have an oral auction as well. We keep it all real simple, and we have a great steak dinner and lots of people. We have a VIP table that gets auctioned off every year that gets specially served with unique people, and they have a little different menu than everybody else when we auction it off.
Oh, see, that's a clever way to do things. And that makes it a little bit more fun because you get that really cool table and you have a different menu. And I'd like to know what's on that menu, but I don't know. We also had, the Rotary Club of Chester just held a father-daughter dance as a fundraiser. And it was absolutely adorable seeing the pictures of all these fathers and daughters out there dancing. And it was part of their fundraiser. Something different, but includes lots of people and includes families and gets people interested. Now, this other picture up there, well, that comes from my precious home club, the Rotary Club of Auburn Gold Country. We throw an Oktoberfest every year, and we net about almost 20,000 is what we get, and so we can go out there and do that. Now, this takes a lot of work. This Oktoberfest takes a lot of work. I believe past district governor Roberta had been to one. She and Dave came to one, and I think they said it was a really fun time. But at that, we invite Shelterbox. Shelterbox comes and sets up a tent to try to raise funds for them. We also have the silent auction, and then we have what we can't have anymore in the state of California is 50-50. Can't have those in California anymore, so we will not be doing those. And that's the one that Ray was referring to as far as the pretzels. We spent a lot of time talking about pretzels this year and less time talking about what we needed to. We also bring in our own bar, so we can actually keep all the money from the bar proceeds. Something you want to think about. There are liquor stores or places in your communities that you can rent portable bars. If your club does not have a bar, you can rent them. That way you can keep the money. So they're telling me, Ray, that I need to move to the state of Nevada because they're allowed to have 50-50 raffles. Now, Ray, I don't know much about the bluegrass. That's more of your gig. You want to share that one?
Oh, just one I saw that was posted on the district Facebook page, but I think that, this was something that they actually did, looks like the Rotary Club did with another event. So they actually just participated in it. So they found the way of raising money, working with somebody else. If somebody's from that club, we'd love to hear from them. Any hands raised? And it's just like the other one here, the Star Stripes and Summer Nights. That one I saw was done in conjunction with the county fair. Oh, we have a hand raised.
We have a hand raise.
Go ahead, iPhone 79. Oh, they disappeared.
Okay, iPhone 79, if you come back, we would love to hear from you.
And then the last one is actually our club again. What we did was we found a time to go out and participate in another event that was going on locally, raised not a lot of funds, but we got a lot of exposure and we got to meet a lot of people that could learn more about our club and about Rotary.
So it's not always about raising a lot of money. Often it's about just getting out into your community and making sure that your Rotary clubs are relevant to your community and they're getting maximum exposure. So if you have a night out, like say they have the police night out, and you can set up a little booth and have some brochures, you just get out there so you can keep the exposure, because our fundraisers are not just about getting money. They're also about getting members, right?
Barbara has a question.
Yeah, no, Stacy, I want to add and invite everybody in the district to the end of October on Saturday for the Nevada Day Parade. Last year, there were almost 4,500 people who showed up for that. And 4 different times through the parade center, Rotary was brought up in everything we do. And the kids who are here, for their year here, they march in front of the Rotary Club. And it's a wonderful opportunity for them to see firsthand America and cowboys and parades and the fact that they're in it. It's really wonderful. And it was wonderful to have Stacy there and Dennis there. And we hope we'll put it on the district website for when it happens. But it's in October, the last Saturday.
All right. Thank you, Barbara. Ray, next slide. All right. Oh, I am trying to look at this. There is so much going on. I couldn't even keep track. Ray, help me out with some of these that you pulled up.
Well, I saw that some people were doing golf tournaments, and those always been very popular. They do take a lot of work, but it's more sponsor based than anything. And so they could be a lot of fun. You can have some auctions with it. And, I've seen golf tournaments raise a lot of money. The other one was something I just found interesting, and this is a motorcycle poker run. Again,
Portola.
yeah, if someone is on that could tell me about it, I was just intrigued. The pictures were great. It was just fun. It looked like a fun event and something that, you know, I think a lot of people would like to, you know, join in on.
Well, that's actually, Ray, that's past District Governor Sam Woody Wilbank's club. And he started that poker run. So he's not on with us today, but I'm sure if you reach out to the Rotary Club of Portola, they'll be more than happy to help you. It creates a lot of money and it goes into a fund that is in honor of his daughter. Oh boy, rafting. Oh my goodness. This is my funnest thing that we do in Area 5. This year, we decided to open it up to the entire district. So we had people coming in from Reno, Tahoe, and everything else. We had multiple boats. And let me tell you, the rafter guides, they donate most of their time. They just work for tips because they know the money is going into a very, very good situation. And we raised over 2,500 rafting down the river. So we had a lot of fun and it was raising money and it was also fellowship. We were able to talk to each other and work together. And it also helped us out with some teamwork. I mean, you have to row all together. And if somebody falls in, which is usually me, then the team has to pull you out. But it is one of my favorite events. And I know we have Nevada City 49er on here with this picture that actually I absolutely love. That is President-elect Marianne Davis. Marianne, are you on here to tell us about your duck run?
I am. It's the duck race, and we're in our, oh gosh, 32nd or 33rd year. And as incoming president, you are the ductator. So that means you're in charge of the event for the year before you're president. And we usually net around $30,000 for this event. So it's the only fundraiser we have to do, which is fantastic. And the community comes out and we actually float the ducks down, plastic ducks, not live ducks, down the creek there in the middle of downtown Nevada City. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow. And how much work does that take, Marianne? I mean,
it does take some work. There's a committee that we have it dialed in. The committee's been doing the same kind of things. I mean, we change things up, but basically we know what our duties are. You know, somebody's on decoration, somebody's, you know, our tickets are already available. So if anybody wants any duck race tickets, you can win $5,000. I already have mine. So we're going to be at the Home and Garden Show next weekend here in Grass Valley for the first time selling our duck race tickets in a booth. So we're excited about that too, but not just selling tickets, but sharing about Rotary. We have not done that before. So we're excited to have a booth there.
Awesome. And Ray, I see we have the bluegrasses back on. That was Martha Green. Are you still there with us? Well, she typed it up in chat.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's a 3-day blues grass festival. It sounds like something I would like to attend. So
that I knew it was right up your alley. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The second picture I know all about, and I'm so excited about that one. But Ray, I'm going to let you take the first picture.
Oh, the first picture, you mean the superhero raffle?
Yes.
It was a bingo tournament, and it just looked like this picture just looked fun. I mean, if you're looking for something to promote your club on social media or your website, you need to have pictures that look fun. And this is one that looks like fun. And I'm not sure again where this came from. I just found it. But if someone wants to give us a little input.
It was the Rotary Club of Truckee Sunrise.
Truckee Sunrise Rotary Club, yes.
Yes.
It was a bingo event that we hold annually in August, and our next event is August 17th.
Wow. And how much work does that take?
It's not, it's not a huge amount of work. We've got it pretty much dialed in. I think this is the fourth year that we've held it, and we've got it down. We used to have a bingo master that we've hired, but he got kind of expensive. So now we have a club member. Up there is Todd in his fancy green and purple outfit, and he was our bingo master and caller and did a great job. So it's a fun event.
Absolutely fun. And so you guys had fun, And did you raise some good funds?
We did. I think this year we had some expenses that we weren't really planning on buying the bingo machine and daubers and such, but I think we made about $5,000. So not too bad for
That's
our
really
small club of 10 people.
Yeah, that's really good. And you won't have to buy that bingo machine again. Now you
Exactly.
always have it.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. So there's something fun. Lots of people love bingo. And I love bingo. I usually end up with multiple cards in front of me and I can't even keep up. But to make a theme out of it was really cool. Like the superheroes, that really kind of switched it. It wasn't just like regular bingo. It was bingo with some spice, I guess you would say, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Good
Thank you.
job. Thank you. Rotary Club of Urington, I'm going to give you the shout out again. One of the funnest, well, for a person like me who apparently loves cars, this was one of the funnest things I have ever been to. And I was so honored to be able to go there and sell beer underneath the bleachers. But it was the tractor truck pulls. How many of you been to a tractor truck pull? You need to go. It was so much fun and it was loud. So get your earplugs, of course. But the tractor truck pull, most amazing thing. I kept running out looking at these trucks. I was absolutely amazed. That's kind of my thing though, right? But it was the stands were packed. And I will tell you, the Urington Rotary Club couldn't figure out why I knew so many people there. Because people kept walking up to me and saying, "Oh my gosh, Stacy, what are you doing here?" These people were from Auburn, Grass Valley, Dayton, Carson, and Reno that all come to the tractor truck pulls. So Nora Stevens and the Rotary Club of Urington can share more information on that. They sell alcohol, and their president-elect has one of the best taco stands that have ever eaten at. Nora, take it away with a little bit more on that.
Well, it's just working our county fair, and we've been blessed with an exclusive contract to be the beer seller that at our county fair. And it's a lot of hours of hard work over the days of the county fair, but it is the bulk of our fundraisers. We have other fundraisers we do, but we bring in a lot of money and we work really hard. And then we're able to put it back in the community. And it is amazing when you're working your booths, all the people that come up and talk to you, and then you get to talk about Rotary, because we have the sign above our booth. Stacy worked the stand under the bleachers. So every event, the rodeo, every event at the fair, we're under the stand selling, and the loud one is the tractor pull. And Oscar's on here. He does have a good taco stand there, and other good food that he cooks. He's a really good chef. So, and then we have, the fair also has a fiesta that goes 2 nights that we sell beer at as well. You want to talk about that, Oscar? That's a special community event. You want to talk about it? No, he's shaking his head. No, he's quiet.
Oscar shy.
You know, it's a lot of Mexican drunk people that they support the club too. You know, we brought Friday and Saturday Mexican music, and the club provides $500 a donation every year, you know, to bring the music over. And you know, I'm not sure how much beer we sell to them, but I think a bunch. So thank you, and come to Yerington and enjoy the third weekend of August.
Yep.
Every year.
Third weekend of August.
Very awesome. So again, there is a Rotary Club that's really taking on the culture of their community to figure out how to have excellent fundraisers and let people know about Rotary. This next one, I'm going to let Robin Milan take this away because this is the Rotary Club of Nevada City, and this absolutely fascinated me what they did.
Well, I shared just a little bit in my presentation a minute ago, but Kathy Wilcox Barnes went out and planted a bunch of little seedlings and nursed them until we could get them in the ground. And we spent the summer going out to backbreaking farms, raising our pumpkins. We had a few heartaches because of the cucumber beetles, but we ended up with a batch that we could share or that we could sell and auction off. And then Judy Soldavini, who pulled together a crew of artists to paint them, and we were auctioning them off. One favorite one went for $75. Anyway, it was a lot of fun, a great way to engage the club and our community in pumpkin and polio. So,
Awesome.
and the money went to polio.
And it was just so different. Don't you guys all agree that it was so incredibly different? So Ray, before we hand it back and ask questions and try to close this out, we have a lot of people in chat that are wanting to say something about their fund raising. So I'm going to start with the Derby Party fundraiser, Laura, President-elect Laura from Grass Valley South. What do you got on that?
Hey there, we are doing a Derby Day fundraiser party to benefit, of course, our youth and scholarship programs, May 4th, 1 to 5 p.m. Wear your fascinator, wear your dapper hats, men. We're giving prizes away for best hats, most dapper man, best dressed couple. It's going to include a lunch, a Derby lunch, and a complimentary signature cocktail. Which would either be a mint julep, a lily oak, or a shot of bourbon. And it's at a private home of one of our members. It's a beautiful home, and you can hang out by the pool or on the tennis court or on their beautiful lawn and watch the running of the 150th Derby live at our party.
That is an amazing fundraiser because, again, you're taking another event and turning it into a bigger event to benefit our community. Right?
Yep.
Stacy, can I mention one thing? One thing I think that I really liked about what you talked about, Laura, was you said who the beneficiaries were. So that's a good thing that can help people and get people there that want to support what you're supporting.
All right. President-elect Paula, let's talk about, the state of Nevada. What are they known for?
Gambling. So we, just like you said, got to know our audience. I'm like, we're going to have a poker tournament. I believe this is our 4th one coming up. And I'm like, who can really come to this? People play poker. And so it's gathering steam as we're going through it. We originally had games that we've gone to this painting. So it's poker and painting. So if you don't just do poker, you can learn how to paint a picture. So everybody comes away with something. If you paint, maybe not if you play poker, but I will say I never played poker in my life, except maybe with my brother. He always won. I got there and he must have taught me something because I got all the way to the second table at the end. And so,
whoa,
if I can do this, anybody can do it. It turned out to be a great time. So it's become, we also have a raffle in the fall, which turns out really nice. We make about 25 to 30,000 on that, and on this one, I think we're up to about 20,000 on the raffle. So, or on the poker, excuse me.
Wow, that is wow! Everybody, hands, clappy, clappy, clappy. That's amazing. Way to hit it up and way to know your community. Good job, Sparks.
Oh,
I'm going to shoot through a few. Before Daryl, I see your hand up, and I'm going to shoot through a few. I know current sitting president Janet with the Rotary Club of Truckee Noon. She says they're having a small town, big night out country western dance on the 12th of November. This is their first event. Their first event was in November 2023 and was a huge success. People like me love to dance. You invite me to those things, I love to go do that. And I guarantee you, and Dennis will probably attest to this, I will bid on every auction raffle thing I can get my hands on because I love stuff like that.
Yeah, and win almost all of them.
And then we have,
Oh, hang on, Stacy. That was November 16th, not the 12th.
Okay, sorry, I'm not having my glasses on. Thank you. Thank you for the correction.
You're welcome.
And Serenity. If you're still on, just tell us about this. Is the most unique fun raising that I have heard of in a long time. So Serenity, take it away.
So yeah, so Rotary's Club up here. Let's see, is my video? I don't know. I was trying to get my video to work. So we started a Renaissance fair up in Lamoille Canyon. And we work with a lot of the different clubs and community members as well. We have sponsorships that we do. We rent out vendor space for the marketplaces. We have kings and queens in the court that run stick horse jousting as we do it. We have local entertainment that comes and holds the entertainment there. Our first year we broke even, which I thought for a first event wasn't too bad at all. And then last year we were able to fund all of our youth projects with the funds that we were able to do. So again, we're hoping to grow it this year, possibly discussing doing a dinner, a ticketed dinner for that event this year. And trying to just keep it growing and going. So it's been a lot of fun.
Great job. And again, there is a target audience that I don't think many of us think about when we're in Rotary. There are people that literally travel from place to place to attend these Renaissance fairs. So now the Rotary Club of Elko Noon has their attention, and these people now know what Rotary is. So that's really good. We have Ione Rotary with their cow bingo. I can't go into that because we're talking a bunch of crap. No, I'm just kidding. But they have their cow bingo is now live. And then we have the Rotary Club of Minden is having a golf tournament coming up on May 9th. Dennis will correct me. So what I and Ray would love for you guys to do is look at those two email addresses that you see on the screen right now. And Daryl, I'll do this in just a minute. Look at those two email addresses that you see on the screen. Write them down for me right now. All of you with your fundraisers, send Ray and I an email telling us more information or even a flyer about your fundraisers. I will happily put them up on the district social media channels, but we will actually happily send them out to other clubs and stuff because again, we do this together. That's the power of Rotary, is this family right here, right in this Zoom room. So send us all these fundraisers so we can get these spread out and about because we want to support you. I love going to things, but if I don't know about it, I can't get there. But if I have an invite, I guarantee you I will do what I can to get there and support you, your Rotary Club, and your community. Daryl, take it away. Mr. Fallon. You got to unmute.
Well, I had to unmute, sorry. We're having our annual bingo night on the 26th, and our bingo is a little bit unusual, I think, because not only do we have a theme every year, like last year was the 80s, this year is Margaritaville, but what we do for bingo, and I think we're going to change the name next year because when the current president and I were passing out flyers, we were at one establishment and the owner looked at us and said, "Oh, it's yard sale bingo time," because what we do for prizes is we collect things that people are frankly yard sale items. And we have found that the folks at the senior center really like having an opportunity to make a selection from various yard sale items, and those are the prizes for the bingo. So it's very low in cost, and we have a lot of fun with it.
Well, Daryl, I can guarantee you, if you send us an email with information, I will guarantee you right now, almost promise you that Ray Ward will be there because he is a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. So Margaritaville just really excited him. And when you said 80s, Daryl, why wasn't I invited? I love the 80s. I have total outfits for it. In fact, my hair will still do that stuff.
Well, we seem to be a little remiss in making you folks aware of what's going on in Fallon. And as club president next year, I'm going to change that.
Let's change that. Let everybody on this call right now, those email addresses, that's your key. We will make sure that everybody gets invited. We will make sure it gets posted and get out there. Do not keep your fundraising a secret. Share it with others. We have a large geographical district, but I guarantee you, I love to drive and check out different communities. And I'm planning to go back to Urington for the tractor truck pull next year because I just want to watch the tractor truck pull because that's my thing. So share those ideas with Ray and I. We are totally looking forward to that. The Rotary Club of Plymouth Foothills has a harvest festival and a grape stamp. Oh, or stomp. Yes. You can go and jump into a giant thing of grapes and smush them. And you go in as a club, as a team, and start smushing them. So if you haven't been to that, you need to go. Their feet turn purple, but you can take a shower later. It comes off.
All right, with that, we're going to let Dennis close it out. Thank you all for listening to us, and thanks for all the great ideas. I think we enjoyed this as much as you did. So,
oh yes.
With this, you're up, Dennis.
All right, thank you, Ray. I am blown away. I am blown away today by the quality of the presentations and the information that we all got. So the first thing I would like to do is thank the presenters and give them a big hand because they did an incredible job. And secondly, give each and every one of you a big hand for hanging in here, and your engagement has been wonderful. I think I learned more today from this event than any other Rotary event that I've been at. So I am thrilled. I just don't know what to say beyond that. So thank you all. And I guess a couple minutes for if anybody has any questions, and then we'll let you all get into the rest of your day. Questions from anybody? All right. Well, I think this meeting is.
We still have people coming in with fundraising.
Oh, okay. You want to talk about more fundraising?
I don't know. Does anybody in here want to raise their hand? Do some promoting. Come on, get us there.
Time to shine, guys.
Okay, now they're shy. I think they're tired. I think it's time. In fact, speaking of fundraising, I'm headed off to Millhouse Child and Family Services to enjoy some fundraising for those kids out there about 6 o'clock, and to go see my sweetheart. Yes, I really do have one. You'll see him at the conference. My sweetheart Pan's play. So.
All right, Stacy, have a great time. And once again, Ray, happy birthday. Ray's birthday is Sunday, I believe.
Yes, happy birthday, Ray.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Happy birthday. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you down the road.